Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of the Rewatch Podcast, presented by the Terrible Video Gamers Club. I'm your host, Tyler Schatz, who's made up of 10% angel and 90% devil. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Because joining me for this fine recording session is one Stephen Howard.
Who, much like the characters in this show, has a NOS and is ready to make bad decisions.
You've got Nos, and you're ready to rock.
I got a NOS and a Corona, so everyone's aware. Sorry, continue.
Amanda Howard is here as well.
Who would really like that? Oh wait, we already have Google Maps. Never mind, we're good. I loved their version though.
One Nick Castile is here.
Clawing his way out of El Barrio.
There you go. And last but certainly never ever least, Gary Delaney.
We get the return of Han, and absolutely no explanation of how it fits in the timeline.
That's all you need to know is Han's back. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
He might go check out Tokyo later. He's not for sure.
Yeah.
They're doing some pretty cool stuff out there.
Ah,
Wonder what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was such a quick throwaway line that I felt cheated, honestly. I have
Did
now
anyone
pretty
else feel-
sure. I'm pretty sure I figured it out now from the trivia and notes and things I've seen, but still.
I wonder if
Yeah.
it's drifting. You think they're drifting out there in Tokyo?
He's drifting to Tokyo.
Wait, there were trivia notes?
When I looked on IMDb to see something, I saw.
Oh, when
I
you
like reading the
cheated.
trivia. That's not cheating. I like to read the trivia. I watch it after I watch the movie, or I read it after that. I like the trivia. I always love those things about the movie, the little
Trivia
things.
or trivial notes?
It is trivial trivia.
Best kind.
Yeah, that intro seems to be a disconnected subplot.
The intro is just fantastic.
I felt like the intro had a lot of callbacks to the original movie, like definitely a heist, and definitely a heist of a semi with just. I guess there was a truck. There was never a truck in the original heist, but there was just like fast cars driving next to semis.
You're talking about like the pickups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hasn't all of these movies had a heist in them?
I was
not had them.
super confused about this
Not
heist scene at
three.
first because they're stealing gas, I guess. What are
Yeah.
they, the Americans?
She said gas was gold.
I know,
Was she listening?
that makes no sense. Since when has gas been gold? You'd have to genuinely be the dumbest human on earth to think that gas is gold.
Some
So-
serious transmutation.
So first of all, it's in Panama City, and then second of all, remember this is a movie that was shot in 2009, well 2008 probably technically, but this released in 2009. The world is different.
It's true.
Oh my god!
I
You're
remember,
not getting away with that.
No. I do
um,
remember like a teacher being like doing a real serious conversation with the class and trying to show it. And he asked us, at what price would you stop paying for gas? And we went around the room, and the consensus of the room, we agreed on $2.10. We would all stop paying for gas. So
Yeah, and
guess
you know
what? Weren't those the good old days? And I don't know what gas was back then, but obviously if we thought $2.10 was outrageous to pay for it, and what are we paying today?
Too much.
No comment.
Less than these guys are paying with all their car chase scenes, that's for sure. I can feel my nostalgia growing for these beginning intro, like vroom chase scenes. So thanks.
Also,
guys, for
there's
that.
a short film that apparently explains the intro to the movie that I had to watch the DVD special features, and I was like, this is the dumbest short film ever. And then it's like, oh, now it actually kind of explains, and it gives some background to Letty. And the explanation was like, we didn't want too much Letty in the beginning of the movie. Like, we just needed to like give it just a little snip, bite-sized piece, and then rip her away.
Yeah, I was about to say. So they didn't want too much Letty, so what they went for was get rid of her.
So first of all, before we get too deep into this recording here, I will just express, as the viewer could probably pick up by now, we unfortunately don't have JC with us tonight here. He has events going on here that's pulling him away from our crew. But going forward here, maybe he'll come back for when we do Fast 5. But yes, to kind of kick back on here, just quickly cover the intro parts that I usually touch on as well too. So Fast and Furious, Brian O'Connor, back working for the FBI in Los Angeles, teams up with Dominic Toretto to bring down a heroin importer by infiltrating his operation. And as we talked about, movie is directed by one, I believe this is another Justin Lin movie.
Justin Lin.
Yep. And where do we got the budget stuff down here? All right.
I don't understand how Gary can care about who creates movies, like who the producer is for a movie, but he doesn't.
Steven, do you care who the fuck writes books?
Yes,
you care
I
who
do.
the fuck writes books? Because I don't
know
care who
why?
writes. George R.R. Martin can die, and someone else will write that book.
Shots fired
But
already
he
here.
does
Okay.
not like Lord of the Rings. I want to call everyone's attention to the fact that he does not like Lord of the Rings.
Well,
gonna-
that doesn't
I'm
have
gonna
to do with
grab my
George
drink
R.R.
and just go.
Martin.
That
That's to
escalated
do with
quickly.
authors, and authors like not like mattering, and artists like filmmakers or directors not mattering. Like just because you don't appreciate their art, Steven, don't piss on it.
That was a very instant, like, it was like Gary had that one ready to go the second Steven said something.
So anyway,
It's just like in shock that you're like, oh, well, you know who just directs this? Like, who doesn't know? Like, anyway, for the larger consumer, Justin Lin directs several of the Fast and Furious movies, and probably the better of the Fast and the Furious movies or directorial style in the middle range. I feel like he did a great number of them because they were like, hey, this guy didn't fuck it up. Let's I mean, he fucked up like Tokyo Drift, but that's just because it wasn't a great idea.
anyways, box office here for this movie. Budget of 85 million estimate. Opening weekend in the US and Canada was 70,950,000. Gross in the US and Canada was 155 million, and gross worldwide was 360 million. Definitely made its money back for sure, and is definitely one of the stronger showings we've seen so far of the Fast and the Furious franchise. Okay, now we can turn it back over to discussing the plot and everyone's hatred for the
Anyway,
fact that
the reason why
Letty just
Gary stopped-
disappears.
I remember that this movie, when it came out, everybody was like, yeah, the original characters. And then like one of the main stapled characters is like listed as dead right from the beginning.
Okay, can I point out that it's not one of the main staple characters? It's like every single one of the main characters besides Mia, Brian, and what's his name, Dom, are
Dom.
all gone. There's no one
What's
else.
his name?
I think Mia has more screen time in this movie than Letty does.
I think
Yeah.
Mia has had more screen time than Letty has to be overall too.
Overall, right?
Up to this point, I should probably clarify that with one and this one. Mia is definitely more prevalent in that first movie than Letty is. It feels like Letty isn't quite a character, a defined character yet. Like she's definitely has character traits and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
because I always have to remember myself to like push back a little bit that I'm thinking of how the character is because I have seen future movies.
Sure.
I have to remind myself the Dom we see in Fast and the Furious 1 is not the same Dom we see grow throughout the series. Right, Steven? With your hatred for
Yeah.
Dom from the first one there.
Sure.
It's gonna be like Game of Thrones,
Steven.
where he can see Khaleesi's
Yes.
fall from the beginning.
Steven, do you feel like this movie is more Dom centric?
I would.
I mean, I think it's probably about the same as the first one. In terms of, I think I think it focuses mostly on Brian, but then like with Dom being there the entire time, which is kind of what you had in the first movie, I'd say.
The reason I ask is because Vin Diesel actually produced this movie, so he like made this movie happen. Also, compared to the first movie, it was Paul Walker then Vin Diesel. This one put Vin Diesel as the first name in the credits. There's a term for it.
Lead actor.
billing. He had top billing in the movie, so I feel like it's kind of sort of like Vin Diesel became a bigger star, and he's the one who got this movie made. Do you feel like it like kind of put him more center stage and kind of gave him a better plot?
Okay, I think you gave him a better plot, definitely. But I don't necessarily think that it did like change everything and be like super Dom centric. I think Dom is the badass that, everyone wants to see, and I mean that's what it is.
He's the anti-hero character of the 2000s.
Yeah. That's an interesting way you phrased it, Gary, how you said, is he more centric? I think that the first movie was definitely the story of Dom, and Paul Walker just happened to be in the main part of the story. I don't think, the whole thing was about race wars and who is Dom, and you have to try and figure out what's going on. Whereas this movie, I think it's kind of flipped. I think the storyline with Dom trying to get after Letty is under the who is the bad guy we're trying to take down this heroin heist. Like what Tyler just read, the synopsis is the heroin heist, and who's involved and who's not, and what's going on there. I feel like Paul's Walker's Brian's story is the main part of this story, and we just get the catharsis at the end that there's a little bit resolved with the Letty stuff.
Do you feel like the first movie you sort of peel back the onion on Dom, and on this movie you sort of peel back the onion on Paul Walker's character? I've already forgot his name.
Brian O'Connor.
Brian.
Yes.
Because he goes back to being a cop, and then he has to like sort of explain to Mia why he did what he did, and why he made all the decisions at the end of one, and sort of dig down to who he is deeper than just being like a cop with a heart of gold.
I agree. Well, I think there's a part of it too. There's a part of it where he doesn't know if he has a heart of gold, because I don't want to get too far into the notes because it's further down in the movie. But they're talking like, "Why do you think you did it? Let my brother go." And that conversation, I think, is a little telling that he isn't 100% understanding it himself. So we can get there a little later as we get through the story. But I thought that was an interesting, not necessarily development in his character, but it kind of peels back, like you said, the onions of who he thinks he is and who he tries to be. I still think he's playing out of his depth. I kind of jokingly, half in cheek, said in the beginning, terrible driver Brian is terrible. But in this movie too, he's like, a lot has changed, Dom. And Dom is just like, nope, no it hasn't.
Go for it, Gary.
Before we jump out of that intro, the first bit you see of Letty, I noticed that they played her a lot more feminine in the Panama sequence. Like she's wearing sandals and a dress and very feminine, like princess sort of vibes. Whereas in the first movie, super tomboy, like combat boots, and
she steps out of the vehicle in like flaming red combat boots that are like at least 4 inches of height.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a good observation that they did change her character, and I mean it's now a mainstream movie, right? So you're gonna probably play to the mainstream a little bit more.
I
mean, she's
admired.
still a badass. She's still a badass, but like they definitely, I don't know. I guess as we said in the first movie, very much dated wardrobe. They very much updated her wardrobe to be closer to like a sandals commercial where she's in sandals, she's in a kind of flowing dress. They're just on vacation in this beautiful paradise. Yeah.
How I had a thought at one point of like, I would have like her hair's in this like casual ponytail while she's like climbing over this truck and jumping. And I was like, I'm sitting here like keeping in mind I have like longer hair and how annoyed I get when the window is down a little bit when you're on the interstate because your hair flies everywhere. And I'm like, you are doing a. So just want to point out if you're ever going to do a crime, I would highly recommend hardcore securing your hair. But hers was just blowing as if there was just a little bit harder of a breeze. And I was like, you are tearing down the interstate at what speed exactly? This is fast and
I didn't even
furious,
catch
right?
that.
Not 10
That is
miles
a
per hour.
that is a very notable, like, yeah, like you
And I
would,
mean, they
and
had
yeah,
it in a
and you
ponytail, but it
know,
was a very. I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm getting picky here, but also like realistic hair that would have been all over her face, and that would have been endangering her.
rather than like a motorcycle helmet or like some sort of like
Right.
hat. Yeah, I didn't
Mhm.
even think about that. Like, yeah, your intention is to jump on the truck. She didn't happenstance onto the truck.
That was her
She
job.
intended. Yeah, that's a.
In the first heist with harpoons, they're like all black with motorcycle helmets, jumping from vehicle to vehicle, and she's just like tank top and her hair's blowing in the wind.
Yep, you really had the. I think maybe, and that might be maybe a change, because in the first movie when they introduced these, theft people, we're not supposed to know who it is because that's the big twist in the end. Oh my gosh, it's actually them. And in this one, you just automatically have to know, hey, this is who we're talking about. This is we're getting this out of the way as fast as we can. No helmets.
Not even like I mean, I was like, I don't know exactly how I would secure my hair for some kind of, job like this. However, I
mean-
assure you, it wouldn't have been in that really stylish ponytail that was low and kind of loose with their bangs. And I was like, good for you. Not how it would work for me. I would have been blinded.
Probably helmet or braided, like something that would just
Something,
like
yeah.
keep it
What
solid.
I'm hearing is that
I-
Amanda's not very stylish.
Absolutely,
Whoa.
Stephen. When I do
Shots
my
fired. Shots
when
fired.
when I rob a bank or steal gas from a truck, I guess I am just not very stylish. I am sorry, Stephen. I did make a note at one point. I
Function.
started writing down if you jump forward from a car going at 80 miles per hour. I was going to say, what speed are you going? Stephen jumps in with what color is the car? And he's right, because it's usually like in this movie, it means it's a bright purple or bright yellow or something like that. That's how you know it's a Fast and Furious movie.
committing robbery, scrunchy.
Okay, so you're talking about jumping from like one train car to the next?
Yeah, she
or
like jumps forward, and I was just like, interesting. I wonder how the physics works on that. But I actually, Steven just jumps in with a what color is the car, and it's true when it comes to this series. If someone's jumping from car to car, you know it's something decorative and cool looking car. It is not going to be.
It's all
God,
about style.
Brian
of the
O'Connor.
scene.
Yeah, Brian O'Connor even makes that thing, and he's like, no, not that kind of a car. Like, we're not. You don't watch the series and expect boring cars.
Mhm.
I had one last question before we get too far on the commentary on this such a toxic masculine conversation, but one last comment on the apparel of the main female. Does a thought jumped in my head about touching on how she seems much more feminine. She has a free flowing dress. Even her hairstyle seems much more loose rather than like quote unquote put together. Does that play into the trope that she's a damsel in distress and
Oh,
Dom has to be
absolutely.
the masculine
really
hero to come
does.
save her?
Yeah, it definitely does play her as
It
a
was-
damsel in distress in this one.
Definitely to appeal to the audience too, of like, oh my gosh, she's dead.
Yeah, right. Oh, she was
Like-
so sweet. She couldn't take care of herself. Blah blah blah. That's
I wonder if it's
again
a thing
toxic,
thing
but yeah.
too to just kind of like they essentially like this movie is essentially like a soft reboot before that term was really popularized there of like the Fast and the Furious franchise. Like they're keeping the existing stuff in place, but they're bringing stuff back to kind of reboot it for a newer audience. So they had to basically take this character who there wasn't really much to Letty, as we've kind of discussed in Fast and the Furious 1. So they had to basically accentuate some stuff here and there to kind of differentiate her from just another one of the street racing people that
mean,
was in Dom's
they-
crew.
Can I point out that they do that by making her into just it's like she had what we were talking about, that really distinct what she was in the first movie, and she was the tomboy with the combat, and she's gonna walk about, I smell skanks and stuff like that. And now she's much more of a pretty princess that needs to be saved, and
I mean,
it feels like, oh well, this tested better with the screen.
so I'll let you go, Amanda, here.
Oh, I mean, I think Steven takes it too far to Pretty Princess, but otherwise I do agree of like, I'll give them credit. In that first one, we didn't see a lot of her, but it was enough to establish that a feeling that we're all feeling is being contradicted a little bit in this one. They didn't put enough in there, but what they're putting in there now isn't. It's not. None of it's bad. It's just not at all
it's
the
not an
feeling we got matching.
it's not an
I would have thought,
evolution, it's a
yeah,
rebirth.
I would have thought they were two different
Yeah.
characters if you didn't call them by the right name.
Yep. So Gary, I think you basically just hit on the point that I was kind of make of like, yeah, it's not this tomboy character, but I don't think it's completely into the damsel in the distress category either. She still maintains a lot of that in just her talking and mannerisms that it feels like to me she still maintains a lot of that. I'm kind of Dom's equal there in this relationship between those two there. So
Yeah, they do
like,
give a sense that she's someone who can take care of herself and get things done.
exactly, yeah. So like it's definitely, I think they maybe we're accentuating the wrong not the right word, the wrong aspects of her character there, because they maybe went like too far into the, and I don't feel this way, but too far into like the damsel in distress category, whereas before she wasn't really quite that in the first one. In the line here of damsel in distress and what she was in the first one, they went just too far that way, but not all the way to like damsel in the distress category.
Do you feel like they overplayed it because you wouldn't care about that character from the first movie? Like they had to make her more likable before they made her a badass street racer? Like, Nick?
I wasn't sure if that was directed towards Tyler. Tyler, you go. I'll say mine.
I wouldn't say like. I agree.
If
with
this is
what
a standalone movie, which is
So-
a note I made later on, is this a
Yeah.
standalone movie? If this is a standalone movie, like you need to make her likable first.
I agree with what you said, but not like a lot of the terms that you use there to basically say it there. So go ahead, Nick.
I agree with that, Tyler. I think that we had to play up enough from the first movie that they had a relationship and that he deeply cares about her. Otherwise, yeah, it's like if she's dead, oh no, but he's not gonna quote unquote go to war over trying to figure out what happened to her. I think the whole drive for him has to come from a place that this is his whole life taken away, even though he walked away from her in the beginning. Yeah, I definitely agree with what Tyler said. The way you phrased it, I don't think that they made her someone that you don't care about. They did establish her relationship with Dom. I don't know. I mean, for a man who has nothing else, I think that, he doesn't seem
They
to
had
have
to remind you that she mattered before just like giving her a cold. If they would have just given her a cold explanation that like, oh, Letty's dead, and you didn't give us that like romance and previous heist, it wouldn't have mattered. Been like, oh, Letty, you mean that tomboy from the first movie? Like, oh, I guess he really likes her.
Because there's a scene, I'm trying to remember now because I watched this a little while ago. There's a scene where there's someone with Letty calling from, I think it's Mexico. It's like not in Panama City. It's somewhere else, who calls from a different place and is like, hey, Letty was killed to Dom. And if we didn't have the previous scene that showed that they were together on a beach or that they were working together again, you might just think, oh, they must have fallen out at some point. Maybe there's some bad history there. Or that's why he's not attracted to her or something. So yeah, I think it does help establish a little bit more that they were super close. He's worried about her safety. That's why he is not with her at the moment. She's
I do want to just make a point of clarification. Her outfit on the beach there is not a dress. It's just a very long white t-shirt, but she is wearing, I believe it is jean shorts there underneath that.
Are you evaluating what that poor woman is wearing? You're a terrible person.
I'm just calling
Fashion
out here.
police.
Everyone likes a t-shirt dress. It's fine.
I'm just correcting the record here. She's not dressed as much of a girly girl, but they are definitely like accentuating the feminine part there of the outfit there.
She is not there for you to critique.
I mean,
Keep your eyes where they belong.
She's not
I
here
am
for
no
your
fashion
entertainment.
person over here, so so like after Dom leaves Letty, there basically we cut to one Brian O'Connor, a new back in the FBI. Like this is the part I never understood. Is like he's back in the FBI now all of a sudden here, but crashing
Yeah.
through a window, basically chasing a guy in downtown LA.
I would love some explanation of how that happened, because he obviously burnt his bridges in the first movie. Then in the second movie, I don't feel like he did his bridges any, major benefit. And
They
then
still walk away with money in their pockets. My pockets ain't empty, cuz stole money from federal jurisdiction, right?
Oh
yeah.
yeah. It's
So-
An
Fine.
alternative beginning, based on the director's cut, an alternative beginning was that Brian is introduced in prison. And he gets the same information about street racing from some people in a prison rather than the guy he window tackles.
Window tackles.
And I don't know.
But I
This
think
is,
that definitely would have made more sense.
I mean, I could see it that way, but also too, this is maybe just more of a directorial kind of choice there to take this character, put him back in the cops. It's not really that big of a deal for the general audience because again, these aren't movies. I will constantly kind of probably say this. These aren't movies to really sit down and think too hard about there. You just kind of go, okay, yep, he's back with the cops. He was a cop, sure. Yep, he's back with the cops now. And then they use this kind of theme throughout the movie of, Brian the cop and Dom the, street racing guy there. All kind of both of their stories are intertwining and going after the same thing there. So that's how they kind of, I think, frame then the whole movie is just the two storylines intertwining with one another until they finally get back together as a group.
You're not gonna get that past me, Tyler. I am going to, if we're gonna review this, I'm going to dissect the movie.
All right, I want to see you, Steven, next time with your monocle out there, basically smoking your pipe on one side and just taking some heavy notes and some terrible.
One more thing,
I'd-
Mr. Schatz.
I mean, I don't.
Steven, we'd have to see you on camera to know if you're wearing a monocle. So,
Oh, yeah, for everyone's awareness, we usually do this on camera, and my internet is finicky, so I am not on camera right now. And,
First world problems.
and Gary is not impressed.
Gary's got high standards. He's just trying to hold you to him.
Just be better.
it's trying to
Most-
make you a better person and a better podcaster.
Ouch.
Wow.
In that order.
God damn. That was painful.
This podcast is very accusatory. I'm liking it.
I'm sad, dude.
I feel like if I don't get to see Steven's sad face when I make jokes, it doesn't feel as good. It feels like I'm just like
You're insulting a
insulting a
wall.
faceless child.
That's why he's really mad. He wants to be able to get the full enjoyment out of his.
All right,
out of
well,
his
that's fair
cutting
enough. I mean, that
insults.
makes sense. That makes sense.
You can't see your reaction when he says you're using big words or when you talk about history.
Gary loves history.
He does.
What? Oh, Steven, what is your historical references from this movie? Let's give Steven his 5 seconds.
We will get there if I get there.
I can advance
they
the
have one?
conversation with.
Go for it, Nick.
I was gonna say I can advance the commentary with the next little tidbit in the plot there. So they get back for the funeral for Letty. Dom is there. How the f is he getting through security? I mean, is he
He's
just
Dominic
like
Toretto.
illegally just sneaking through the country and nobody sees it?
I mean, he's
Commentary on
Dominic
the
Toretto.
border walls aside, isn't there like if he travels at all, he's an international fugitive at this
Well-
point?
Yeah.
Aren't there like people looking for him?
You go ahead, Amanda. You had it.
These guys sure do act like they cannot get anywhere because they are such wanted people, and then they get anywhere they need to be anyway. And not only does he get there, but he freely moves throughout that city several times with zero problems.
Well,
Yeah.
I love how they are also trying to find this guy. Like, oh, if he's gonna be anywhere, he's gonna be at the funeral, and like, well, maybe, man, he's gonna be, somewhere in town here. Like, maybe you should stake out that guy that you betrayed you the last time for him. I would do that personally, but
We'll station 4 guys 20 feet away from the ceremony. No one anywhere closer. What about that big perch up on the background over there? F that noise.
what did I just say, Simmons? No one
Sorry.
anywhere closer.
First, I have to call out Dom's look there at the funeral scene there. He looks like Pitbull, basically, Mr. Worldwide.
He did. I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, oh God, he's Pitbull. That's
And
okay. That would be an awesome movie, though. He just breaks out, just rapping. I would be there for that movie.
I don't understand the Pitbull fascination, but I feel like I'm obviously everyone disagrees with me on a lot of the things that I don't understand, and
Pitbull's
Pitbull is
awesome.
one of them.
Pitbull's awesome.
And I had a second point there, and now it's completely escaped my mind. Something to do with Dom crossing the border there, and it's just like I said, it's gone. Go ahead, Amanda.
I was going to say for crossing the border, he has the Game of Thrones teleportation device.
Oh.
The
Fast travel.
Varys fast travel method there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could be.
I was gonna say it reminded me of Assassin's Creed games, like where it's like, okay, let's go up here, and I'm like, is this not obvious enough to anybody to look like? For me, I was like, oh, that's the perfect place to watch. Is no one gonna look, like Nick said, more than 20 feet away? Maybe is this your guys' first stakeout? Like, the guys, you know that he knows he's wanted. Why would you only put people right there? If anything, that should be the last place you put them. And so obvious too. They were like, I am cops, see me.
Right?
Go ahead, Gary.
Apparently the choice of him standing was that they specifically location scouted for a cemetery that had oil derricks in the background because something about Dom, they wanted oil derricks behind him when he's like seen. He needed to have oil derricks in the background. I don't understand. There must be something about his backstory. I don't know.
Interesting.
Just makes him look tough.
I commented about the travel, like how hard it is to get there. But yeah, I think Amanda had a really good point too about like how they're supposedly like they have no money and they're ripping off 5 rigs worth of oil tanker trucks. Again, the geography for those of you who aren't familiar, he's in Panama City. That's in Panama, south of Mexico. He travels through a third of the continent to get up to LA for this proposed funeral in their hometown. That the geography escaped me for a second there until I realized he came from Panama. That's presumably it's quite the travel distance.
I
will say
remember
too,
my
if you
point
were-
now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steven.
No, I was going to say, if you were going back a little bit, and here's one of your historical facts, Gary. If you were going to hide from the United States as well, just we keep talking about this, and I just realized you wouldn't want to hide in Panama, which is actually a nominatively good ally of the United States. Like, they would have no qualms about deporting you. You'd want to go hide in like Venezuela or some crap.
Non-extradition territory. I like it. And you were able to pick off Gary's 5 seconds of historical politics too.
Hey.
I remember
all
You
you
can't see
get.
his face, but he's really smugly smiling right now.
I remember my point now here, and that was like Dom has to do all of this hiding because they want to arrest him and stuff like that from everything he did in the first movie. But like thinking back to that first movie, I mean, who knows how many trucks they robbed and stuff like that, but it's like all of this manpower is dedicated to find him when he's like just basically a common thief. Like he's not blowing up banks, destroying federal buildings and stuff like that.
They got to get back them VCRs.
Those damn VCRs, collector's items. Go ahead, Gary.
Also, speaking about the Dom timeline, the Dom that exists in Tokyo Drift is after this. So technically the last time we saw Dom is in Mexico in the post-credit scene of the first movie. He was in Mexico and then he went to Panama. Tyler's shaking his head like I fucked up a timeline. No, I didn't fuck up this timeline.
I'm shaking my head at you for a completely different reason. I'm not going to say that reason because it spoils everything else, but
He thinks you're spoiling it.
He doesn't like who you are or who you choose to be.
that's just on principle there. Like that's a standing factor. Go ahead, Amanda.
The cinematic timeline, I think, is what he doesn't like. Is that I don't understand. I don't understand it. So
This jumps ahead a teensy bit, but Tyler mentioning how like these guys, he is just so wanted, which again for VCRs apparently. But I wrote down a comment later on when he's with the bad guys, and these guys these clowns have never heard of Dom. Everyone else has apparently, because the whole freaking FBI is there, and they're like, it's apparently hard for him to get there. But like the other criminals, the other underground has never heard of Dom. Don't these criminals do background checks? They did in the last one.
Also, apparently he's this great VCR thief. I wouldn't think he'd have to audition to be a drug smuggler.
I know. I was like, you are getting an overqualified person that you've never heard of. Apparently, you're very bad criminals. Like bad at being a criminal, apparently.
And by extension, Letty is a noted VCR thief also.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Was she under Tyler can probably explain. Was she actually under investigation, or was Letty actually a free and clear citizen after the first movie?
So
No.
no, it's talked about here, like later on in this movie, why Letty is in that situation she's in.
Oh, yes. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we want to talk about it now or if we just want to wait till that point in the movie.
Well, she's died, so we could talk about her.
Well, I mean,
Or-
like it's
Hold up.
explained.
Piss on the
explained
graves.
later
Yeah,
in the movie.
It's explained later.
Yeah.
I say hold on to it, unless people want to talk about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind
We
of
can
all
keep-
over the
we
place
can hold
with
on to
this movie as it is already.
Are very all
Mhm.
over
This
the
movie's
place.
all over the place.
That is also
Um,
true.
Unless anyone has anything before this, we went to the funeral. They noted that Letty resurrected the Charger. Did anyone else see this coming? Like, I just haven't. Like this, the Charger is the vehicle that cannot die.
Was I supposed to remember that vehicle? Because I did not remember that specific vehicle.
It's
Yeah.
the one
Sorry.
Dom jumped the train tracks in the first movie with that vehicle. And
Oh.
Letty took a destroyed vehicle that got hit by a train and rebuilt it.
No, it did get hit by the
Wait,
train.
Obviously,
it hit a
it's like a-
semi truck.
it's a semi-truck. It's
It
like a
missed-
one-off line, but that's the same vehicle that existed in the first movie that got crashed.
Mia says Letty wouldn't let them junk it.
Yep.
Oh, that's why she said it. I thought she just saw a car she liked.
So yeah, speaking of that, that's a good point there, Amanda, because it's like, well, of course this would be in there because this is the iconic car of the series, but it's like, well, here we are on the fourth movie. We've only seen this car in one other movie. It makes perfect sense to why somebody would ask that question there.
Yep, I had no idea that they like cars. She found a car. I didn't question it at all. They all like cars. I'm kind of used to in this point. I'm used to them being like, ooh, car. Go fast.
Cargo fast, vroom vroom.
Also, in the
That's it.
director's behind the scenes, they had a casting call for cars. So like all of the
What does that even
like
mean?
the bad guy cars are like
Cool.
people who like sold their cars to the production.
A casting
The-
call for cars.
That's
sounds
cool.
like a
I like
Game
that.
of Thrones book.
The Phoenix drives a Chevy Gran Turismo GT, something like that.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm fucking it up, car people. I took very
Car
quick
people will come
notes.
for you now.
Please write in the comments on our YouTube channel about how upset you are that Gary doesn't know his Carfax.
Not Carfax, Carfax.
Carfax.
Yes.
One other note there is we see Letty's face shows up on the screen when they're having their FBI sit-down meeting in the conference room there, saying she was a deceased person as part of this Braga's crew that the FBI
I
is
don't
now
think
investigating.
like they've kind of hinted at this point that hey, she was probably involved in some police crap, but we haven't actually gotten firm confirmation that she's involved in this investigation until this moment right here.
Yep.
And again, I think she's kind of a footnote in the official FBI investigation because she's quote unquote just some racer who was killed. It's kind of the unwritten motive behind what Brian and especially what Dom is doing. But to the police, yeah, they don't care. That's
Exactly.
not a focus, which is interesting. I did have a note too. I don't remember when it's mentioned, but at one point the FBI people talking with Brian make a reference to Deputy Director Lawson. And I had to go back and try and do some quick Google searching to find out if Lawson was one of the characters from the previous movies, because we've seen Bilkins was the first deputy director guy who said, "I don't care if you have to put a gun to somebody's head and blow your cover wide open." Who was going to be there? That was Bad Cop. That was Bilkins. But then the second one was also the guy who like started shooting at them at the boat storage unit place. And I thought maybe he like that they were trying. I was trying to highlight if they were trying to expand the greater universe of this Fast and Furious world by saying this random person's name as a name drop that's now their deputy director, like to show that these people from previous heists they foiled have been promoted. But I don't think Lawson was mentioned anywhere else. It's just a random anecdote, but I caught that. It wasn't Markham was the random other cop that they disliked from Too Fast, Too Furious, and Bilkins was the first guy.
Nick mentioned the FBI people who kind of sort of jump in and out. The director talks about all those characters as their own surrogate family. The boss is like kind of the dad, and who like if Brian stays on his current path, he'll become that bureaucrat. The one gal is supposedly like the little sister who's kind of getting into trouble and like just kind of mischievous.
No, he's talking about the FBI group there in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, this
there's
movie.
a gal who helps him find cars. Is like the little sister, and then the douche is like the middle child who's just like tattling and
the untrusting agent because Brian was once an illegal street racer. I can't trust him.
Yeah.
The dude who
there's some analogies to like it being a family and like how there's this weird like dynamic of that's his new family and the street racer family and
So
all
that was from the director himself said all that?
Yeah.
That's weird.
You know, directors do have opinions and they do have plots and you know they're trying to make art here, Steven. They're not just putting pretty people in cars on the moving pictures.
Like producers, Gary, what do they really contribute to the film?
Money.
Poking. Just poking.
Just money.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did have a highlight. I think it's later in the movie, but yeah, I highlighted too that one scene where Brian is getting angsty with the other police officer who you said was like his brother. He like bashes his face into the wall, and
that was awesome.
And the
That
dad
was
just
a fun scene.
Dad's just like
not prepared
bleeding
for
on my floor. Go get cleaned up.
Yeah,
It's like
that's great.
no follow up for one officer laying hands on another one, and everybody just sees it, and you're just like, all right, this is done. I addressed it. No
Does that
follow-up.
make you feel like though everyone in the station knows that guy's is the douche of the station? Everyone's like, yeah,
Right.
yeah, that shit coming.
And
Fight
incompetent
much?
because, like, yeah, clearly you've never. He was storming towards him like he was going to hurt him, and clearly he was not a threat because Brian took care of that without even blinking. I was like, so not only are you just going to let your temper get the better of you, but you are also going to punch him first. You were clearly not prepared for this fight and had no clue what you were up against, and it was a pleasure to watch you go down. Sorry.
Pleasure to watch. Amanda spares no.
Well, I'm sorry. He was stupid, wrong, and he wasn't good at it, so there was no sympathy.
I do think on that note, and we're kind of talking about Letty earlier, that this movie kind of plays into the tropes of characters. Like I think we said earlier, like Dom's the vigilante bad boy, anti-hero. Brian's the good cop who maybe has a rough streak, and my D&D friends out there, he's kind of chaotic good. You know, there's a level of like I am going to be this character, and sort of my development just kind of highlights that this is not just like a streak in me, because Brian's kind of got that like bad boy edge to him throughout a few movies we've seen with him, and in this one he's got the wolf in sheep's clothing where he's a cop now, but yeah, he's still gonna drop this random tool bag who steps to him in front of the precinct. I don't care who sees me.
I am a little confused by their reactions to Brian because I'm like, I guess to me it makes total sense that the FBI would have some like there are people walking around that you can just tell that they're the Captain Americas, they want to do everything right, that's totally great. But like this is a department that literally has to infiltrate bad guys all the time. So they have to have guys that can give off that can switch easily to that bad guy persona. So like it confuses me because I'm like, this is a perfect guy to have on. You know that he's a good guy. He's
Mhm.
going to make the odd decision that does help them, but like also he in a heartbeat, like what was it in that one movie where the guy was like, what was that car? And he had no clue what he was even talking about. Like,
First one.
are you kidding me? None of these people can go undercover. All of these people scream cop. So like that to me makes perfect sense that they would have people like Brian. It's just funny to me that the rest of the department was like, why is he even a cop? And I'm like, what do you mean? If this is the reason, then that's why none of you guys have caught any of these bad guys yet.
Very
All
astute.
jobs have a Captain America.
Yeah. But the thing is, Captain America is actually like really good at what he's doing, and these guys don't seem to be. They just wannabes.
Much like many offices I
unsparing.
worked in, there's always a Captain America, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're good at their job.
Ooh, shots fired.
Burned.
Yeah.
Brutal fatality.
Going back to my notes as in order, there's this car crash that Dom visits. And I put down a note that apparently Dom has a CSI specialist in car crashes.
It's
Also, it's
Dom's
probably a
superpower.
week-old car crash. What?
It's Dom's superpower there. He's able to just stand in the road, lick something off the ground, and be like, oh, this is sulfur nitro meth or whatever. And then he just rewatches the whole car crash play out in front of him.
Yeah,
wrote
like a
down
crazy fucking CSI and like sees all the cars flipped. I'm like, it's a week-old car crash. Like, I can understand, like, in general, if you see like skid marks on the road and you see the skid marks go into the ditch, you're like, oh, that car probably went into the ditch. Or you see that but yeah, he like knew that how many times the car flipped and that somebody went up and shot her. Like it was crazy levels of CSI skill, and not only car crash CSI, but just like murder CSI. Like he knew how she was killed. Anyway, Dom's a superhero.
Yes.
He started to develop his powers. Just wait until he unlocks all of it.
This isn't even his final form.
Exactly.
Boo.
Mhm.
Also, I have a note here. Before it's too late, it's already too late.
So
Yeah.
like we get to the next is like basically Dom going out and talking to all of these car customization people, and apparently
Mhm.
Dom still knows who specializes in these random ass car mods.
He is I think he is still well connected with everyone in the area. I think that's supposed to show that he never lost his, his street.
And yet
And
these people don't know him.
right? Well,
These people
I-
don't respect him. They think he's old news. They think he's grandpa, like he doesn't have any street cred anymore.
I was just
Washed
gonna highlight
out.
that very thing. The random guy at the nitromethane tank, based on the burns he found, who was doing the car mod, says, "This isn't your turf anymore. You better watch out when you're putting your hands on me or whatever." Yeah, again, not knowing who he is. I mean, just because you may not remember something doesn't mean that he's not still a pretty built dude, right? I also had highlighted that he grabs that engine and holds it with one hand to drop
An
the hoist on him.
entire engine block with
I
one
looked that up.
hand.
I looked that up. Setting aside, it might not be an 8-cylinder engine, which it very well could be if it's a big muscle car. A 6-cylinder engine, a smaller racing mod, still weighs upwards of 400 to 550 pounds. He just catches with one hand.
Bare arm with one hand in that thing,
Like, you
dude,
guys
like
can't-
it's nothing.
You guys can't single lift a fucking 500-pound
Engine
engine.
block.
No.
Not only to like half drop it to scare him and like not tear the tendons out of my hand, right?
Yeah.
In the director's commentary, they talk about how like even a fake engine is enough to fucking crush that guy's head, and so they had to like make it fall but not make it crush his, like all the safety features of anything that you have to like make look dangerous but it's still safe. They're like, yeah, this was still pretty dangerous, like even dropping a fake like metal looking engine onto someone's head.
Slightly
Yeah.
before this, though, too, we get Dom picking Mia up because she was brought in to the FBI office. So he basically escorts her out of there. And I think this is where the scene comes in. Let me just check where he.
This is the premise for it because the
Yeah.
cop's upset because he sneaks something out of he falsifies that he needs him to come down and sign something in evidence or whatever.
Yep. And Mia and Brian kind of have their little first heart to heart of like, why did you do what you did? You tore my family apart.
I did highlight too that she mentions in that little exchange at the coffee shop it's been 5 years for
Yep.
a frame of reference.
That was a revelation to me. It did, like, wow, okay, nothing has. It doesn't feel like anything has changed here, and you're just gonna drop that. It's been 5 years.
I did catch that too. I did like how she worded it when he was like, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, yes, I'm so sorry that you had to come into my house and pretend to love me. And I was like, ooh, burn. Yeah, I'm sorry was possibly not quite the way to go about this, but it was a good, important thing to include, but yet you needed more than just that.
Also, she's the voice of the audience that she says like you were the bad guy pretending to be the good guy.
Burn.
And I feel like that's kind of the larger analogy for the first movie is like she summarizes it very quickly of like, as I said, if this is a standalone movie, you were like, well, who is this and why are they so angry? I was like, oh, because like you pretended to be my boyfriend.
Quick question for the group: do we think that he actually pretended to love her, or did he
No.
catch feelings?
Are you
No.
kidding?
No.
It's the
not-
trope.
I mean-
It's the trope. He basically,
Yeah.
guy undercover falls for the gal who's part of the
Mhm.
evil organization he's infiltrating there.
Yeah, I kind of wanted him to mention like, oh, I thought I expected him to be like, it wasn't pretending, but
Yeah.
of course he didn't say that because I was like, you totally fell for her. We all know that.
We all know that.
I was just shipping them.
God
Yes.
dang it.
I'll be here all week.
I have a note that somewhere around this time, a NOS energy drink shows up for Steven. But I don't know when or where.
Well, here you go.
I don't even know what those taste like, and I'm scared for you.
It's so bad. Oh, I forgot it was this bad.
Oh man, if only
Oh,
any of us
Lord.
had called that.
Ugh.
Yeah. I went on a monster kick and I like until you get used to the taste of energy drinks, like they taste like pure goblin piss.
I drink
And you're
energy
like,
drink
oh,
every single day. I drink Ghosts, and I drink the what are they?
Ugh.
A whole bunch of other
those are for
ones. but-
pussies. Real men
Yeah,
drink NOS.
basically. This Nas tastes disgusting. I used to chug these things. I can't believe I did that.
Maybe for the
Today's
last
podcast
episode.
is brought to you by NOS. Please enjoy responsibly. Thank you for your fundraising and support. We fully support your product. All right, back to Steven saying how this tastes horrible and Gary mentioning goblin piss.
I think maybe for when we do our wrap up episode, I'll go get a can of NOS.
Ugh.
All right, good.
You can have this other one. I'm not drinking it.
Steven needs it for the next
Oh,
movie.
you gave Amanda a NOS too?
No, he came home with two. I don't know if he meant it. Yeah, he did offer it, and I said, no thanks.
He needed 2 cans of NOS because he was gonna go super fast.
Exactly.
Gary, if there's anything I know about going fast, it's shifting and NOS, all right?
That's
Press
true. He did
both
learn
buttons
that from
in.
these
You gotta press
movies.
both buttons in.
I'm pressing the buttons as hard as I can.
And then shift again.
Yep. Keep
There's a
shifting.
weird keyboard analogy of like shift.
Conspiracy theory number 1. This was all this entire movie was just a clever play by Microsoft to get you to think about shift.
The shift key on the keyboard.
Yes.
If you press it enough times, it activates the sticky key functionality, which I still do not understand what that does, but I always get
Neither
that
do
warning
I.
every
It's such
so often.
Oh, it's so horrible.
Does anyone use that?
I want to know if someone uses it. If you use the sticky key function, please contact us. And then
Yes.
probably your local psych ward, because you shouldn't know that.
The one person who listens who also knows about cars and stuff like that, we want them to comment in, is also, wow, I'm really like pigeonholing this person into this weird category they'll never be able to fill.
They're a polymath. They know everything.
There we go.
Today's my day to shine.
Some
They've
guy's
been
just
waiting for this moment.
Yep, this is his moment to shine. I love cars and I love computers. I know everything about both. Where's some podcasts that'll talk to me about my love and interest?
Shifting and drifting.
If only I got a review of Nas.
Okay, now I just want to like fucking pound some random energy drinks before every episode. Just give some bonus reviews.
Do you want a bonus section there? Gary's review of drink X for the day. You could be the other person on the internet that I know of that drinks and energy drinks.
Probably not. I'm not a big energy drink person or somebody who needs energy behind the scenes news. We record this late at night after people's kids go to bed. So
That's
energy
also true.
drinks at 9 o'clock at night does not sound like a good life choice.
Not at all.
Or it does.
Or does it?
Maybe that's the
It does.
solution I've always lacked.
Maybe you'll be able
Turn
to
into
You'll
smell
sleep better
colors.
if you're drinking all the energy
Yes.
drinks. It'll make you
We
sleep
can
better.
podcast. We could podcast till 6 a.m. and then I can get up and go to work. It's fine.
Yeah.
Be so wired to
That
just
sounds
smell colors.
Good decision.
Yeah, this is
So
sounding like a
Steven,
great
are you
idea.
still drinking the Nas?
No.
I want to. You just took one sip and you're done.
Yes.
What's
Do you
your
want me to
Corona
keep drinking it?
percentage?
No, if I will keep drinking it if you want me to, Gary.
Why? Wait. Why
Because I
would
hate
you
Gary.
drink something to make Gary happy?
Because
This
I
will
hate
have.
Gary, but I respect him.
Oh,
I think you should take at least 3 more sips of it. 3 more sips.
All right. I'll do 3 sips over the course of the
think you
podcast.
should
I'll do
live-
Make
3
sure you
sips,
clean
starting
your
right now.
Make sure you
One.
clean your palate so you get a fresh
All right.
sip every time.
I'll clean my palate with the Corona that I have here.
Steven's not a quitter.
We don't.
And
quit at
here we go.
halftime.
so confused.
Yeah, it's still disgusting. Actually, it's better with the Corona.
Ugh.
That's weird. That's very weird.
Are you listening,
That's how Dom
kids?
does it.
Your energy drinks take better with alcohol in them.
Oh gosh.
We do not support this on this podcast whatsoever.
Yeah, if you're listening,
Speak for
kids,
yourself. I support all sorts of bad decisions.
maybe you should make your own choices and not whatever makes other people happy. Gary.
Don't listen to Steven. He's a bad influence.
Yes, Steven, make your own damn decisions.
Moving forward to some later notes in the plot. The cell phone, Letty's cell phone that miraculously rings after
Nope,
You're
way
how many
ahead.
months?
You're way
That's
ahead.
way ahead.
You're way ahead.
I jump around because no notes. I don't take notes
we
for
ha-
quite long stretches of this movie.
We have the
like a bad
the
thing.
dual shots there of Brian and Dom rebuilding their cars and stuff like that, with Brian's taking
had no-
parts from all these other
Mhm.
cars.
I had down the car montage while he's, free advertising for his Corona as he's doing it.
And
Can I-
Castrol's Edge motor oil there, because there's a clear shot of him like holding it, pouring it in there, label out and visible.
I did
for
notice
everyone to-
Castrol Edge motor oil, Castrol Syntec motor oil.
Yep.
Oh. Can I ask you guys, so you were aware that last time when Brian was using the combination of U.S. muscle car and other other type of fast cars there are out there, that a lot of apparently people got upset about that. Did people get upset about him jury rigging 4 cars together here?
Yeah, he said he wanted all of them, didn't he?
I
don't know if it was combining or if he was just like he needed to see all of them, and I
No,
think he might have a second vehicle at some point.
He was
Like-
taking parts off of all, it's implied that he's basically taking all parts off of all 4 vehicles to put onto one of the vehicles there.
I mean, yeah.
But like,
Okay.
as far as
Technically, the government owns all of that, so like he can't go buy things. You just gotta go make it work.
Luckily, they
far
have
as-
enough in the impound.
yeah, as far as
was gonna say,
uproar
yeah.
around the community and stuff like that, I have no idea because I remember seeing this movie in theaters. I'm pretty for sure. I do not remember any of the discourse around it, other than I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I mean, granted, it's L.A., so they probably have a huge impound, or at least several places they can pull vehicles from. So I kind of went along with it, that I figured it's plausible they have that many nice vehicles with the parts he needs to get what he wants.
I'm
mean,
sure it's a
Unlimited
again,
resources through the police, but I don't know if he would have the time to do what he needs by himself.
it's probably again one of those points of the movie that like you just show it to the general audience and like, oh yeah, whatever, if you stop and think about it, it makes no sense maybe, but it's again,
I just remember that you guys told me that they were pretty apparently upset.
You're talking about in Tokyo Drift where they put
now you're
yes.
talking
ricer engine into a muscle car.
that was more me being upset by that because again, the
Oh,
Mustang
yeah.
is my
it's-
favorite car.
In the director's commentary, he understood that he was playing with fire.
Well, I'm
Like,
sure,
and
yeah.
he was just like, well, I wanted to see it. Like, as I've never seen it, and it's something new that's never been in a movie. Let's do it.
Well, as
like-
far as though like
And
general
obviously, it
consensus
didn't ruin the franchise.
general consensus around that, though, I don't think there was. I don't remember there being anything other than Tyler being upset that they wrecked his favorite car with a 4-cylinder engine in that thing. But
Okay.
so then we have the race scene here with the sweet 3D GPS that tracks everyone's car precisely and even models their car within the GPS, even though the GPS
it.
had no idea who's showing up to race and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Nick?
I wrote down I wanted to highlight the awesomeness that is Dwight the Racer, the
Oh,
random
God.
young dude. And I wrote down Dwight the Racer, and I wrote down false. Identity theft is real, Jim. Millions suffer every year. Because I'm awesome.
I would understand that reference if I understood that reference, but I don't.
I understood that reference. I understood that
So wait,
reference.
somebody from The Office is apparently in this movie, or
No,
No,
he's
Dwight.
he's just using the name Dwight to make an Office reference.
Always
Oh,
make an
okay.
office reference.
Yeah, no. Tyler mentioned the GPS, and apparently that was big and new and cool when this movie came out. Was like how could I interact this into a street race so it's not just from A to B? It's like them having to have to make their own path to get to the finish line. And I know video games also Burnout Paradise had a big like push for that, like not an A to B race, but a like make your own path.
Mm-hmm.
The GPS graphics would be sweet by today's standards.
Yes.
I loved him. I thought it was great. I was like, this looks familiar. I know this. This is a video game.
This is a video game. Good job.
And I dubbed this race Brian versus Dom Part 3 there. Because
And can we get a moment of appreciation for the smolder, the sideways, like the classic look that you associate with it when they look at it into the car to the side? It was beautiful. It was classic. It was iconic. And I was like, there's the look. I've never even seen this movie. There's the look.
And it was
Steven was
supposed to
not-
be a flashback to like, is Brian a better racer now?
Mm,
Nope. Dom cheats.
Steven wasn't near as impressed by it, but I was super excited about it. I
terrible.
wrote down Sideways Smolder game is strong.
Terrible Racer Brian is terrible.
And then also I have to call out one of those racers is totally fucking dead from rewatching the clip
Oh
here.
my god, yeah.
That vehicle,
Yes.
like you see it, it goes into the driver's side, like not just hits the driver's side, it goes into the driver's side. So one of the racers for sure is dead.
Was that the Brotastic, or which one was it?
Oh, that was the Afro dude. And then I know the other guy gets very injured too from the way the Brotastic guy, as Gary named him, he gets very injured from the way his race ends.
At minimum,
Race, you mean his
injured.
life.
I don't know if it was as much to like end his life there or not, but like he's definitely hurting for sure. I have to assume like these cars have, maybe it's a bad assumption here, but like they would have to have like roll cages in them if you're a street racer. But maybe some of these people don't. They just live life on the edge a quarter mile at a time, you know. So
Quarter mile at a time.
I don't know if you're a professional racer like this. I've gotta assume that
professional racer, totally. Street racers,
Yeah.
So Dom's car got completely rebuilt. Did they show if maybe his car has a beefed up frame on it? It probably does, because it's got, you know, a fuckload of muscle like cranking out that it wouldn't twist a frame that has already like ran into the back of a semi.
Yeah, if nothing else, I think the reinforcements, because it's again they wouldn't let him junk it, so in order to repair the frame, you'd have to work on it somehow.
So this isn't the Charger that Dom is driving. Dom is
Oh,
driving
it's not-
his Chevelle, the red Chevelle that he was in.
That's
now
right, and he repaints it from
the red.
it's the car you see in the post-credit scene of the first movie. He repaints it.
Yes, he's also driving that around in town with Mia and stuff right away when it's dark out and everything.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, Tyler corrected me. I didn't pay attention to cars. Put your comments down below.
I
Keep shouting at Gary.
I also had a comment too. The person who has passed out the GPSs, I wrote down, "Hey, it's Gal Gadot."
It
Wonder
is
Woman.
Gadot.
Yeah, I had the moment of, oh, I know that. Who is that? And I asked Amanda, who did I think it was, Amanda?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was it was a random, wildly wrong woman.
Yeah, Steven was like that, and I was like, no, this is definitely, like, I mean, she's instantly recognizable.
She wasn't super well known at this time in her career, I don't think.
Right.
No,
I
definitely
wouldn't,
not.
I mean, if I had watched it back then, I wouldn't have known. It's just,
I don't think this was her first film.
I don't think it was her first film either, but like it was definitely early
In
for
other
her.
projects.
Also in the street race, there's a billboard of a Homer Simpson. Just a random, like, if you blink and you miss it, you get a billboard of Homer Simpson.
As one does.
Fast and Furious was her third movie.
Wow.
Well, actually, take that back. Second movie. Because she did.
Ooh.
Nope, take that back. Even more.
Can you count, man?
I'm catching the TV series word like as I'm looking at this thing. So Fast and Furious is her first listed movie on IMDb. There's 2 TV series appearances or credits before that.
Interesting.
Then Date Movie, Night and Day, and then
Fast 5.
other movies that might be in this franchise.
And maybe Fast 5 or not.
You both have terrible poker faces.
I don't know.
Poker.
I just said it.
Poker
Just maybe
face.
she shows up again.
Poker faces.
I made a reference early that I already went past, which is Tweedledee and Tweedledum from the initial intro race, and I was like, they might show up again. I wish they didn't, but they show up again.
I do like at the end of this race that the role is reversed, where in the first race, like you said, Tyler, this is like the third time the two of them have gone head to head. Brian hits his nos too soon, and in this time, Dom hits it, and Brian says, "Ooh, too soon, Dom," and he thinks he's got him. So I like that the roles were a little reversed there. But then, spoiler, Dom hits him and throws Brian into a tailspin and wins the race. At the end, Brian says, "You totally cheated, man. I would have won." And Dom goes, "I didn't know that there were rules." Is Dom wrong? I mean, you're racing to be like
The
working
best
for
criminal,
the
yeah.
best criminal. I think Dom is 100% like, that's not something that I would not have done either. Like, if knew I was going to lose and this is the chance of a lifetime to make a lot of lucrative money, and I'm already a wanted criminal with nothing to lose, of course I'm going to cheat. That should be like an understood statement.
I
That's
feel
why
like
the
some
men
of
of the
it
Night's
is.
that's why the men of the Night's Watch were so dangerous, because they knew their life was
Oh,
forfeit,
get
so they could
over
do
it.
anything. Sorry. Continue.
I think also just the understanding of like what it meant to Brian was different than what it meant to Dom. Dom is just like, I need to take revenge, and Brian is like, this is my opportunity to prove to this guy who is definitely a criminal that even though I'm a police officer, I'm still down. I'm still badass. Like,
Okay,
but it didn't matter. Like he just wanted to gain Dom's respect the entire first movie, and now he thinks that's what he lost, but he didn't understand the rules of the game because he didn't understand what everyone else was racing for.
I guess here's the confusing thing for me is that what you know that everyone is racing for is, hey, it's a drug run. I mean, everyone knows you're basically racing for not maybe drugs, but illicit contraband. You have a job at the end of this. And of course I don't understand why you cheated. Bro, I want the guy. If I am smuggling stuff, who knows where I'm smuggling it, but it's going to be illicit somewhere. I want the guy who's going to ram the car to do what he's doing. Like, in what world does Brian think, "Oh, you didn't play by the rules in my, criminal cartel thing"? Oh, that'll definitely help.
Brian's good guy side is showing.
Yeah.
And then we do move on
I honestly,
sorry, go ahead.
I honestly feel like that was a little bit of a miss on the film writers, because, like, as we've talked, Brian's actually pretty decent at playing the bad guy. So I feel like he would have instantly realized that would kind of ruin his street cred a little bit, to be like, "Oh, you cheated." No shit.
Oh no.
Like, you knew what answer that was going to get you.
Take your ball and go home.
I mean, and Brian just kicked the crap out of some guy at the FBI too. What this "you cheated" thing just feels like a cop out. It just feels like something that they had to throw in there so that Brian could technically win, but Dom would actually win, sort of thing.
There's always a bigger fish. In the small pond of the FBI, he's the badass. But then when you're hanging out with a bunch of criminals, you're not the badass.
But in the end, it doesn't actually matter because there's another way to get in to this race.
I wrote down, quote unquote, good cop Brian with a heart of gold falsely framed someone else with meth.
Right. Okay. They do set that. Amanda actually, as he's going up, goes, "This guy doesn't have this many girls here. That's not a thing. This guy is the weirdest, creepiest freak in the world."
To be fair, the girls were not really interested in him, right? Like, he's doing whatever weird foot thing he's doing, and the girls are like having themselves a little soiree all by themselves.
Yeah, but like, what was the draw? I'm sorry, they would not have been there.
They needed a place, and Dwight was like, "Dwight's got a car. Come on, ladies."
Dwight's got money.
Dwight's cool.
Those women would have
got
found
money.
else.
He's got mystique. He's a
Does he?
he's an up and up, like, He's somebody who's got potential. He's kind of cool. He's hanging out with all the cool kids.
Gary's favorite of the franchise.
Okay. Well, these filmmakers clearly have never walked
I did
home
not,
as
and I
as
will
a woman.
not.
Clearly, these filmmakers have never walked home from the bar as a woman, because none of those that guy just screams creep of no, they would not be there.
So it
Well,
would make a little more sense if he looked a
well.
little more rich, but he doesn't.
Yeah, if
Little
they'd shown me
Norman
something
Bates.
else, yeah.
Little
Do
Norman
you
Bates.
feel
maybe?
like they made him a little bit too much of a caricature? Like they couldn't make him look tough. Like he was just a weirdo through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Your tough guy can look even tougher if we have other tough guys to compare him to. I think it's really funny that you made everyone. I was like, of course this guy looks tough. Everyone else is I can take them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you realize later on that these people who are winning the job are very fucking disposable, it makes a lot more sense why he got the job.
Well, and I think that it's funny. In the end of this entire movie, the one thing we can say is that they saved Dwight's life.
They
That's true.
did. They saved Dwight.
Aw.
If they are,
He might
know,
show up
in-
in another movie, Steven.
Like a sad.
know.
Oh, he didn't die. Sad.
it's an interesting commentary. If I know Dwight is one of my racers, because Dwight must have survived and won his previous race, that he can just chill on the side. If I was in charge of this, I would throw him in and say, "You race again," because clearly Dwight is checking out his competition, right? If my dude is a good enough racer, but I keep having more people race for me, it's like these are the people who are gonna, potentially oust me. If I was Dwight, I'd be like, you sit down, I'll show you how to drive. Or
Here's my confusion, and this gets a little further ahead, and I don't want to jump too far ahead.
We're
but-
intrigued by the criminal hierarchy. I feel like Nick wants
I
to
am.
know more.
Well, not just the criminal hierarchy. I am confused about the right now. Obviously, these people race for this position. They go into the position, and then after the race, we see what happens to them. How does this not get? This is not the first time this has happened. How does it not get out that hey, if you win this race, you're going to
They will-
disappear?
Yeah, I wondered the same thing, because I was like, even if you keep it secret, like you said, they've done it more than once. It
And
is
it's
a
obviously not
terrible
secret. Everyone was there.
recruiting.
They were partying with it.
It was a
The mon-
terrible recruiting technique.
the money they get from winning, they just go live off on some magic island somewhere, with
yeah.
all their winnings. Nobody hears from them
With my
again. 'cause
goldfish
they're
and
rich.
And let's see, they all know he's a criminal, so
Criminals
we
notoriously
never
keep
see
their
these
word.
guys again. We all know who Dom is,
They all want to
but
hang
we
out at
don't
that
know that
farm
this guy
upstate.
is killing people.
As long as we get to go back and chill at Dwight's place while he pulls out a camcorder, hey man, whatever's happened, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm too suspicious. Maybe it's totally fine that these guys never come back.
So and I guess my other thought here is, you're only going to find, I'm assuming, so many racers that can do what you need them to do.
Hmm.
Why are you getting, if you think that you found some competent ones, why are you in the end getting rid? And again, I'm probably getting too ahead of ourselves in the actual podcast itself, but why are you eliminating your workforce?
No, I do want to say something with that too, because at first I was like, well, they're criminals. On the other hand, I was sitting here like, literally everybody in the world, criminals or non-criminals, has trouble finding good help. So when you find them, you usually want to keep them. And I would think criminals would have a harder time finding competent help than non-criminals. But maybe that's more of a hopeful assumption for me. I hope it's harder to be a criminal. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we get then introduced a little bit more into. Unless, did you have something else there, Nick?
I was just gonna say, is what's next the party scene?
Yes, we get introduced a little bit more to Campos, I believe is his name.
Julian
the
Campos.
second in command, it seems like, or the guy who's in charge of Braga's operation there in LA.
He would die for Braga.
Local sales rep.
Local sales rep.
Project manager, at least.
That's fair.
And and Brian and Dom kind of each go their separate way in this party. Brian's trying to follow Compost a little bit more, see what he's up to. Dom goes down into the garage to find the car that Phoenix drives and finds Gal Gadot in a way too tight of a white shirt there.
Oh. No. And because my wife is on this podcast, I can say this. Gal Gadot is hot in that scene. I think I mentioned this to. We were playing some games, and I mentioned this to. I think Gary and Nick was on. Or no, Gary and Tyler were on, and I was like, "Yeah, Gal Gadot went in there," and I was like, "Oh, yes, thank you. That was fantastic." So for all the muscle guys that we get in this show, and all the okay-ish girls that we get in this show, Gal Gadot was up there on the, I would say, the Dom, or I keep wanting to call him Harry Potter for some reason. I don't know why, but
Brian O'Connor.
the Brian O'Connor level. I do not know why.
Harry Potter O'Connor. I like it.
Listeners, can you tell Steven doesn't know the characters' names, celebrities' names? These are not his strengths.
No, they're not.
But
I'm sorry.
I will, however, back him up. Gal Gadot, there's no fighting that one. Like, she's gorgeous. There's nothing you can argue with that.
Yes.
I
And then-
did think it was interesting in that exchange in the parking garage or parking space there that Gal Gadot seemed to be coming on to him pretty hard, and Dom was, having none of it. He said, "I appreciate a fine body, no matter the mic," or something like that. In regards
yeah.
to, I feel like cars or girls.
It was smooth.
Nice line.
Yeah, he said that, and Amanda turns to me and goes, "That's how you talk smooth." So thanks.
I don't think I said. I think I said that smooth. It wasn't be like a commentary on you. I just said, but it was a smooth line.
But yeah, it was interesting that she was kind of coming on to him a little bit, because it seemed, well, she asked for his number too after the race. The numbers for me, the license for Braga. I thought it was interesting that she was coming on to him because she seems very much tied to Braga's operation and everything going on. And business and pleasure always don't mix so well. So I just thought it was interesting that right off the bat she was like, "Ooh, this guy." Especially, again, like Steven said, they know the operation is that he's going to die. I mean, what's the long game for her trying to find a boyfriend with one of the drivers, right? Very odd.
Very true. I do want to mention that there's a great line in here that I should probably put on a dating profile at some point in time, of the Vin's after, or Dominic Toretto's after someone who's 20% angel, 80% devil, down to earth. And I'm like, that's a good line. I might have to kind of put that somewhere. Probably won't help at all, but hey, I'll be cool in my own head for a little while longer.
To answer Nick's question of like, is it a long-term relationship? No. She's the assistant to the region manager, and she knows exactly what's going to happen. So she wants to jump Dom's bones before he gets murdered, like the next day. Like, gotta get on it.
Again, that seems
Priorities, Nick.
That seems counterintuitive though, because he said, "What's the line, Tyler? 10% angel, 90% devil."
20% angel, 80% devil.
20.
I modified it for my
angel.
opening.
Nice. 90% devil. But she says that doesn't sound anything like me. So she is at least portraying that she is a decent person. However you want to take that based on random statistics I'm parsing. So I don't think she's just trying to get with him just to get with him. I think it's.
I think she's a very one-dimensional character.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I think it's a little bit of poor writing where they're trying to portray a little bit more tie-in for Dom, that this is murkier waters than I signed up for, rather than just I'm going to get in and just snoop around and leave with zero ties to anything. He actually seems to have like not an affinity, but again, like you said earlier, very astutely, they're trying to tie us that he has some sort of connection to her and that he at least cares about her, because she does come back later in the story.
Side note: Did Amanda just have ice cream delivered?
She did indeed.
Yes.
We all thought we're just going to keep going because it was very rude of them not to offer any to the rest of us. But yeah,
Yeah.
Hey,
Screw you guys.
I was thinking I was really thirsty, and next thing I know, a bowl of ice cream appeared in front of me. It was kind of cool.
At least I got
You guys
chicken.
don't. You guys don't have that service.
I don't have that power.
I think there's a little bit of ass kissing after his previous comments.
he mentions how much he thinks
What do I
Galileo is
have to
beautiful,
ask for?
and ice cream just appears for Amanda.
No,
That's how you're smooth. That's how you're smooth.
No. I would leave Amanda for Gal Gadot, and Amanda would leave me for Gal Gadot. So we both understand.
Probably true. Yeah. No, that's the nice thing. Steven's usually not worried about kissing up to me, which is sometimes irritating, but it also means that when he brings me ice cream, it generally is out of the goodness of his heart, which is really nice to know.
Steven, I don't think you know anything about being smooth. You have to take your wins when you can get them.
The thing I know about being smooth, Gary, is that I need to be as brash as possible, and that was smooth.
What does Steven know about being smooth? About as much as sandpaper.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have any lines like Dom. I'll give you that.
Oh, sad.
So then we
I
move
had-
on.
This
or
podcast brought to you by ice cream.
go for it, Nick, if you had something.
In the terrible goblin pits of Nos, I had Nos flavored ice cream.
Oh,
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yum.
Why would you
Little
say
drizzle-
something like
little
that?
drizzle on top, just a drizzle. I had two comments about the party. One, that Brian and Dom both kind of like what keeping me from ousting you because you're just here to kill Braga and for getting after Letty. And Dom says the same thing. What's to keep me from ousting you? You're a cop. So instantly they know each other. There's previous history there as they talk to Campos. But also it highlights a little bit that like everybody's got their own cards to play, and it's like who's gonna call bluff on the other person. And then also the other note I had was at the end when they're snooping around, Brian sneaks through the hallways of this very crowded party and somehow gets to like the boss office. Nobody notices. What the heck's up with that? But he sees Campos talking to Braga in a suit or some person in a chair and like sharing a drink with
Fake
him.
Braga.
You be quiet. But yeah, talking to somebody. You hush your mouth.
It's so harsh. Also, as I love director's
not there yet.
commentary things, he talks about the girls kissing in the hallway, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just kind of we just put it in there because it's kind of a running joke that we just have girls kissing in our movies for absolutely no reason." I was like, "But we need to ramp it up. Instead, just 2 girls kissing. This movie has 3 girls kissing, and it's just like, oh okay. Like even I'm obviously I listened to commentary on my second watch through. I was like, oh wow, like." Even the director doesn't take this movie seriously at points of like, it's a party. There's lots of hot women, and we're gonna make some of them kiss. And apparently, he said those are also like fucking nasty scenes to direct. Just like hundreds of people under like bright like disco lights, all in close proximity. Yeah, close proximity for hours on end, just dancing.
It's
Like-
getting hot on her.
Yeah. Anyway.
Gary, I
Amanda.
expect you in the next movie to look for 4 women kissing.
It can't be outdone.
I did have the thought that for those dance scenes, I really think so far that one dance scene has been like another in these movies. You could literally we could do a game over, take a screenshot of a dance scene and tell me what movie it was from, and I would be honestly just randomly picking because I would have no clue. They're all the same.
Fun game.
That
to
does
wrap it
sound
up
so. You have to find a dance scene that doesn't show main characters,
Mm-hmm.
and see what movie it's from.
We should do this. I'm excited now.
I want a bingo card. Be like, up, women kissing, women kissing.
The other thing I wrote down was just like, why does the bad guy always let the good guy take a look around his lair first? Is this
Right?
is this just a big video game? Like, why do I keep coming
James
up with
Bond
these?
scene. It's a
Yeah,
standard
why-
villain trope. You have to abide by it.
Apparently,
Okay.
I was like, I just don't feel like that's realistic. Am I Would I be a better bad guy than these guys? Seriously.
You know everybody you're hiring is a criminal with no scruples. Why the hell would you
Okay.
let them walk around for no reason?
Just freely.
Okay, now I definitely want a bingo card for the next episode. I don't know what's going to be on it. Girls kissing, obligatory dance club scene, sneaking around the enemy hideout.
Okay, maybe I'll make one because I won't. I think the next one's 5, right? I've seen that one before, but like I said, that's the only one I'd seen, and it's been in years. I'm gonna
There you
make one with just the standard tropes we've seen, and we're gonna see what's in there.
Okay.
Do
A race
you wanna-
Shirtless
starts with a
bro.
girl
We
who
need a
throws
shirtless
random
bro on the
article of
bingo
clothing.
card.
do,
Shirtless bro.
Shirtless bro.
do you want to
Okay,
like a
I gotta
separate
make- I
channel
gotta make
there,
notes.
Amanda, to populate it with just nothing but the stuff? And we
Yes.
all generate our own bingo cards.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
There
like
we
that.
go.
You gotta have ass hanging out.
Shirtless
bro.
Campos is sitting there talking with Brian and Dom, and he's like, "Hey, whatever you want, brews, girls, random walk around my place. My office is on the 3rd floor. Doors unlocked. Help yourself." And just like leaves these random people to do whatever the heck they want. Just seems odd.
Maybe because most people would just get drunk and like get fucked up and just like just pass out somewhere. Like I guess.
I don't know. If you are really doing like we're saying, $1 million drug deals, I've got to assume. I don't want to bring this down to a military level, but your OPSEC would be a little bit better, even
Understood
if
that
like
reference.
yeah. But even if you might be getting fucked up and your drivers are getting fucked up, you're making millions of dollars. I bet you have private security there whose number one job is to not be fucked up.
Otherwise, how has the FBI not caught them?
Right.
You can walk
the
around the
FBI
whole
couldn't
place.
even find Dom at a fucking
Oh, you're
thing,
right.
so.
This is
I really
before
hope.
this is before the Snapchat era where people are like, geotag,
Right
this is an
here.
awesome party at this location. Come join
Like,
us.
I think I made a note for later on in the show a little bit like about the FBI just jumping too soon every time in this series so far. I hope that's not in real life. So far, I'm hoping everything of the FBI that we're seeing isn't in real life because they are apparently completely incompetent, and I'm assuming that's not the real case.
I
Right?
think there's a good chance
That's
that
not the real
everyone in
case,
the world
right?
is more competent than the FBI in this movie.
One would like to hope, anyways. We move on. Like, are we done with the party stuff here?
I think so.
Like it? Okay. We move on to basically then Brian showing up at the location there of where they're basically supposed to go per the GPS. He has to quickly remove the GPS tracker out of his console.
Hold on.
Okay.
You can't go farther than that because while this is happening, they actually give you the GPS location, the coordinates of that damn warehouse.
Oh god damn
And
it!
I geolocated that shit, and you can't
Holy
geolocate
god!
it. I just used the
Nerd
coordinates.
alert!
It is
Did you
definitely in LA, but it's like in just a random part of LA. It looks nothing like it obviously does on there. It's kind of next to a residential district.
Well, remember though, 2009, LA has probably changed since then a little bit.
Oh, not where
Is
this
that called
was, I don't think.
gentrification?
But the fun thing I like to think about though too is like the FBI knew where Brian was going. They like have that satellite view down on the building there basically where they see his vehicle pull in, but then they don't notice a giant truck with a large trailer coming out that could, I don't know, maybe contain a bunch of cars in the back of it pulling out.
No,
I love how despite the FBI continually reaching out to Brian to be their person they're putting their trust in, they're always the first people to drop their hats and be like, he's turned on us. What the hell? He turned his locator off on purpose. It's like
Okay, to be fair, he
I-
did turn on in the first movie, so
it's like what Amanda said. You know he's going in to be the undercover bad guy cop. Why would you do something that very clearly can be detected or searched for by a $1 million cartel agency that clearly might have the means to try and find out who's ousting them?
that's a true statement.
Like, build better tech or don't set your dudes up with a target on their back.
Right, or maybe make it so that you don't turn on the tracker until, I don't know,
Right.
you can flip it on, flip it off. GPS or something, and it just sends out a signal to a satellite or so. I don't know.
Right.
And then
Or
we
or something on the driver. I mean, Brian is sitting in the vehicle at the time when that shows it, but like if you know that these are all car-based, people, don't put it in the car because clearly that's what they're going to look at. Sorry. Just
and then we end up
Terrible
south of the border there for the drug tunnels.
Which, this also, how do they drive a semi-truck through Border Patrol?
Yep. They drive it through Border Patrol, then they drive it out to some location that's in the middle of nowhere on the southern side of the border.
Like,
Oh.
I don't know if people have ever been near the southern border, not even to the southern border, but near the southern border. They have checkpoints starting 100 miles away from the southern border, specifically for trucks and for human trafficking. Like,
Yep.
Well,
I
did they
don't know
watch trucks going into Mexico or just trucks coming back from Mexico?
I think they watch them
right.
both going into and out of Mexico if you're trucking. If you're just normal driving, it's
Yeah.
just out of Mexico.
If you're, I mean, this is terrible, and I don't know this from any experience, but I would logically reason for human trafficking concerns. If you're taking people out of the country to other countries for terrible purposes, you would want to check to make sure vehicles, especially trucks, aren't hauling people or things hidden in cabs or in large, like you said, suspicious trailers. And if they do have some sort of weird lead-lined interior so that if you X-ray it, zap it, whatever, it doesn't show through, I think that would be a huge red flag. That for some reason I can't look through this gigantic truck, and it weighs 1 billion pounds when it goes over the scale before it goes through customs to get out of the country. Again, logically, that would be a red flag. Or again, the same truck? Question mark. If this is a race that they do multiple times because they keep getting rid of people.
Yeah.
But this is something that happens frequently. Hey, here's that same gigantic truck.
Nick, you sound like an evil robot, and you have a shitty microphone.
Okay, so it's not only
Like,
me. I thought it was my
I
internet
did that.
connection.
Looked at the same thing Tyler was doing, and I was like,
I was
if we
copying
both
you
do it,
there.
We all
oh
looked
no,
at
I was
the
like,
camera at the same
Nick,
time. Yeah.
my ears are bleeding with your robot voice.
Don't know what's wrong. What are you saying?
That's just his voice.
I sound fine, Gary.
Don't upset our new robot overlords.
I just love the whole concept of like this cartel. I mean, this does happen, obviously, but they like dug a tunnel, multiple
my
tunnels
gosh.
there through this mountain that's on the other side of a salt flat, basically, or just a desert. I shouldn't say it's a salt flat, but this other deserty area. The tunnels are big enough to drive cars into and everything
Cars
like
through.
that. And they come out somewhere on the other side of the border there in some remote area, still somewhere within the vicinity of Los Angeles.
So here's the thing. There are tunnels large enough to drive cars through.
Totally,
And that is not an unrealistic thing, unfortunately. What is super weird and unrealistic is thinking that the tunnel would start literally right at the border fence. If you could dig a tunnel hundreds of meters through rock and stone and fit cars through it, I promise you can dig it 200 meters and not have to race up to it in a fucking fast car.
Yep.
You just build a hut. You just basically build a hut in the middle of the sand flats and drive down
not
into the
even
hut.
that. You just build it on the other end of the sand flat, so you just drive
Yeah.
underneath them
At your leisure instead of
at like 100+ miles an hour. They're making tight turns and everything like that in the tunnels, which are still drug tunnels. Awesome.
And follow me on this, guys. Follow me on this. What if we dug a smaller tunnel and put a pulley system on it and just pulleyed the drugs over?
And why were the tunnels so
That would be
like,
Fast and Furious.
running back and forth? Like, why were they so dangerous for them to drive in? I guess I was a little confused by that. You're clearly counting on no one finding your tunnels.
Maybe they just hit a spot in the
Also,
mountain where
why
it's like,
couldn't
you
you-
can't go any further? You have to move over 10
Also,
feet
why
and stuff.
can't you drive slowly inside the tunnels and then go fast on the other side of the tunnels.
Because it's
Yeah,
not
but how
Fast
do-
and Furious, Gary.
It's not Fast
Oh,
and
you're
Furious.
right. You're right.
But also
Ugh.
speaking of Fast and Furious, I mean, I want to know what monitoring system they think the Border Patrol has that is monitoring the speed of cars going up to like within 700, 400, 200 meters of the fence. Because there are roads that go, again, I don't know if anyone's ever been to the southern border. Apparently you haven't if you've watched this movie. There are roads 5 feet away from this goddamn fence. Like,
They right up to it.
go right up to it. I don't understand, like, oh, we have 4 cars approaching the fence at 300 meters. They're going 50 miles an hour. Call the police, call the helicopters, and call the miniguns.
I
Like,
was impressed.
what's going on here? I'm super confused.
It's the camera angle, Steven, there. It's the singular camera
Yeah.
because we're too poor of a nation here to fully fund our wall and keep it occupied and everything like that. So
Oh, we got the
camera,
helicopter and
that's cheaper
the
to,
heat
cheaper to
things
do
that
it
can
that way.
tell.
Because when you got the camera, it turns one direction there. It stays there for
Oh my
7
gosh.
to 10 minutes. You can drive your 200 miles an hour across the sand flats there and just catch it just in time before the camera comes and points at you. Totally makes logical sense if you don't think about it.
I will say, I was watching this scene while Tyler and Gary were playing a game, and I saw this start happening. I said to them, "Are they going to jump the fence? Oh, that'd be so cool!"
Are they gonna jump the fence? I was like, no. It's so much better than that. They're gonna drive.
It's
They're gonna
so
drive
much
through
better.
a tunnel.
I like the thought too that this is the federal government. They're not necessarily like standing right by the helicopter for like the moment's notice to go get the vehicle. It takes like 15 minutes to get a bird in the air. Comms checks, everything ready.
No.
Helicopter blade starts spinning. 5 minutes, 10 minutes for it to actually get up to speed. All right, cleared. Take off.
The pilot has to
Nick,
finish his
Nick, Southern
coffee.
border-
He probably was sleeping 5 minutes ago. Like,
Yeah, for real. Nick, the southern border is a war zone, man. We got to get. They have tanks, M1A1 Abrams, M1A2 Abrams sitting around there just waiting to mow down anyone coming through. I will say,
Right.
if this was, when was this made? 2009.
2009. Yep.
Okay, so there was a major drug cartel thing happening there at the time, a major drug conflict with a lot of extrajudicial killings, but those were all happening on the Mexican side of the border. I guess maybe you could say that there might have been increased border security, but nowhere near to like what Nick said. They have a bird in the air already monitoring all this stuff.
Yeah.
Just,
They're like, you got 30 seconds, go. It takes
think-
at least 15 minutes to get anywhere ready
I
to
think-
go.
I think they got confused with the DMZ or something
Mm-hmm.
about what they're looking at.
yeah, this would be a good way to get through the North Korean border. That'd be a fun Fast and Furious movie.
Next one.
Fast and Furious Kim Jong Drift.
So then on the other side of the drug tunnels, they're stopping there, and Dom realizes something is up. And I have to call this out as somewhat of a little bit of car knowledge there. Dom has a custom interior there in his car. It's very plain. It's very sheet metal and everything like that, with all the gauges just kind of stuck in there. Who the fuck puts a goddamn lighter, a car lighter, in their custom interior dash there?
Man,
he
who's
needs
that
got
not normal thing?
cigarettes.
a way out.
He needs cigarettes.
Quick way out.
Yeah, he knows he needs a quick way out at some point.
By the way, that is going to age this movie so much because I barely remember the cigarette lighters in like my mom's car. Wait one generation, it's going to be, oh, back in my day.
I've burned myself with those things.
Yeah, I
Yes,
used to have a circle
Yeah.
on one of my thumbs from a
Did you?
cigarette lighter.
Cigarette lighter.
I
is where you put your-
I lit it up and I pushed it to my thumb and I was like, motherfucker, that hurt.
That was a bad
You
decision.
had to know what it. Yeah, you had to know what it did.
Oh my god.
And that was because our old minivan had them in the second row.
Back for the kids in the back seat, right? In a minivan.
Yeah, you needed one
in the
back
back
row.
seat. Oh my gosh.
In case little did we light one up.
And the little ashtrays. There used to be little ashtrays in
Mhm.
the minivan too.
Oh
America.
man. But it sets up a pretty neat scene.
Yes, it does.
Like,
Does he? I'm trying to remember now. Does he break a hose, or does he just turn on the NOS?
He just opens the NOS a little.
Because
uh-huh.
I mean, if you just turn on the NOS, wouldn't you be like breathing the fumes when you're driving the vehicle?
He does it
What-
after he stops.
He
No,
runs
but-
on
And like
NOS,
get
Nick.
out of it.
Yeah, they'll do
Yeah,
it when
he
they
runs
stop.
on NOS.
I was like, what is he releasing necessarily into the car that wasn't already being pumped through the car for the car to drive the way it did? Gotcha.
Yeah, because they all stop and they say, "All right, everyone out," and that's when he starts unscrewing it before he gets out.
Mhm.
Okay. I thought he just like pushes in the lighter and steps out.
Which I will say, if everyone realized that, hey, your guys are gonna get shot before you get out of this car, like, didn't even bring a gun.
I think
Yeah,
they
again,
were searched
they're all
for guns and
criminals.
stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Again, they're supposed to be like the best racers, the best criminals. They don't have like a special hidden way to hide a gun in their car. Because they're
In their butt.
3D print it in transit. 3D print it in transit.
the vehicle in transit.
3D
Hold on,
printed
watch
butt
out for the bump.
guns.
I'm trying to print this gun over here.
They have their cars searched. I can't remember. Are they searched too? Again,
I think they just
I
like
don't
run
know.
a wand over the car. I
Yeah,
don't know
all
if they
do is
search
run a
them for
wand. They
guns.
don't actually search
I think
the
they
car.
just
You
run
have to have
a
a pistol in your
wand
glove
for-
box.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they wouldn't search the car. Because I mean, the car is metal, so any metal you would use to search the car, it's going to beat
Yeah.
the whole car. So yeah, no, they didn't search the cars. They probably patted down the drivers before they got in. But yeah, you could hide a shotgun in your back seat.
No,
and
I
be
don't
like,
think they did either.
Get out of the car. What?
See, that'd be a pretty cool thing. Hey, get out of the car. Dom just swings up a shotgun.
Yeah.
How it should have
'cause
ended.
Dom has how it should have ended. Awesome series. Because Dom has that comment earlier. He's like, me, I go down. I do real time. I'm not stopping my car for the police or whatever that line is when he's talking to Campos. So, yeah, it's like, hey, everybody, thanks for the run. Now get out of your car. Okay. Oh. Like you would.
What I
at
don't
least
understand the
think-
guy too. Sloppy. That was sloppy. Wait, so you're gonna like instruct them on how to be better drivers before you shoot them all in the head? All right, man. Gotta get that motivational speech before doing your due
Exactly.
duty.
Yeah. You put them, it's, like when you're slaughtering cattle. You get them in a good, positive mood. You don't berate them before you take them down. That's a waste of your breath.
Wow, that was oh boy.
It's all fine. It's all right. You were great drivers. You did great. Now look at the flowers. Little nod for Tyler there.
Yep.
Throwback.
So then Brian and Dom escape in that H1 Hummer there that's still loaded full of the drugs there.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's so. Before they escape too, I want to point out that out of everyone in this show or this movie that's not really a main character, the bad guy here, I don't know what his name is easily the coolest bad guy.
Phoenix!
Easily. Phoenix? Is that his name?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Phoenix is easily the coolest
In
dude.
the show.
Oh yeah, he gives off the exact vibes that you'd want him to give off to be a cool bad guy, I guess.
He's got style with his car and his flair, but he's also unhinged enough that he's scary.
Yeah. But yeah, they also they take the H1 Hummer, which probably ran out of gas 4 miles before they hit anything.
It ran out of gas as they crested the hill there, basically.
Oh god damn it!
Were the other vehicles already there? I suddenly had a logistics question. Where did all the vehicles come out of the tunnels, and that's when they
Yes.
circled up?
They all parked. in
And
a
then they
row there.
loaded them into the Hummers. They loaded all the
Mhm.
bags into the Hummers.
Yes.
Yep.
So they all came through together.
Yes.
Weren't there like
Well-
two there? I think there was like two there.
the drivers all
That
came
was-
through together in their cars and met everybody
was
there.
part of my question.
So like the Hummer, I think, was there, and maybe another vehicle or two were there already.
So yeah, why the hell would they be worried about being spotted by the police or the people in the air, only to have other vehicles already sitting out in the middle of nowhere?
See, now
And
you're
my
just
other question.
now you're just asking questions that this
Asking
movie
logic.
doesn't want you to
Logical
be thinking about.
questions.
You're asking logical questions there.
Or again, to go back to Amanda's continual comment about how to be better bad guys, if you have twice as many vehicles, why not just throw drugs into their vehicles too and move twice as much product? Clearly they can keep up with the racers, and they weren't the wiser for it. Why do you need specifically the best racers when you've got an H1 that could probably fit 5 duffel bags of whatever in it alone?
The H1 can't travel 100 plus miles an hour across the desert while maintaining a full tank of gas to get through the drug tunnels.
Well, they would need
Also,
to if
it
they
might
had
be a
made their,
higher roof.
But
they should have made their drug tunnel a little lower and a little longer, and problem solved. They can load it at their leisure. They don't even need fancy cars.
What
They
they
can just have someone.
They
They
need
can
to
just
put
set
a,
up a little mine cart. Gosh.
They need to put a gas station in the drug tunnel there and stock it full of C-store supplies there and fuel. You could fuel up on the way and back there and stuff like that. Stop and have your coffee and everything.
I love it. We're improving Braga's
Cartel organization.
business here. Really
Wow.
boost those products. Those revenue streams crackling.
Brian and Dom
Yeah.
escaping the Hummer. Oh, go ahead, Steven, if you had something else.
Oh, I just want to. What my last thing here is, Dom also gets shot in the shoulder and just slugs it off
Just
as
takes it.
if I saw it, and my first thought was, did they just say that the bullet flattened against his muscle and it didn't actually get hit? Like it didn't actually bust through him or something?
Didn't she say something too about like when Mia looks
It's
at
not-
it, she's
she
like,
said that the
"There's no
bullet is not
exit
there.
wound or something," and I was like, so it's just in there? Like you're just gonna?
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
know.
So she
Did I
says-
miss something?
No, because she says, and I was super confused about this. She says, it doesn't look like it's there. And then she says, and there's no exit wound. And I'm just like, the magic bullets. Well, we know where that ended up. It ended up in Kennedy.
Traveling back in time. Yeah. I kind of just took it as it like grazed up his shoulder there, I guess. Like it
My
didn't,
thought was
it didn't
that-
go like forward through. It just more went like up through his shoulder, ripped up the back part there.
And that reinforced for me the thought that they are trying to say that the bullet literally impacted on his muscle and fell off.
I
Sounds
mean,
legit.
he is Dominic Toretto.
It's what it feels like.
So then we move forward to basically Brian and Dom at, I think this is Brian's house.
Well, they have the conversation with the FBI first,
Yes.
where they're like, by the way, we're not coming in. We're actually just gonna, do our own thing and blah 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 blah. It's like, at this point, why wouldn't you take the FBI help? They are. I
Because-
guess they did say that they were just gonna bring in Toretto, didn't they?
Yeah, they're gonna arrest Toretto again. Brian can't
Yeah.
have that.
Oh, good lord. But yes, then they end up in, I think, Mia's place. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like Brian's place or his like off the books place or something like that. But Mia shows up to help patch up Dom. And then that's when Dom finds the box containing Letty's stuff there, which now we get to the point of why Letty was doing all of this.
Mia's the whole package, guys.
Eric, go.
She can
Get
make a
for
tuna
real.
sandwich. She owns her own business shop, and she can do surgery and do small stitches.
Some light surgery there to sew you back up from a gunshot wound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Dom. It is Dom. It can't be her first time having to stitch him up.
That's a
maybe,
fair
yeah.
statement.
Now I can get to my point, which apparently this is how long I have it at a note. Apparently cell phones work after however many months Letty's been dead. The phone must have been turned off. And the phone wasn't on her when she died.
And yeah, I mean, I can not charge mine for how long, and suddenly it's gonna be. So that's an impressive, honestly. That's
Well, these-
good.
What's-
good
these
call.
phones
phones
that-
used to be better.
Was that her effects since she was killed? They gave them back to
Yes.
family, maybe. So yeah, it's not
No,
necessarily.
It was
maybe the phone
evidence.
was
It was
on
in
her.
the evidence bag.
Yeah, it was like her kit, her undercover kit, I think is
Yeah.
more of what it was, with some evidence stuff in there.
But I guess my thought was, how long do you guys remember with those brick cell phones? How long those lasted? Because I do want to say they held a charge for a good long time.
A week?
Was it a week?
Probably.
Okay.
It's longer than my current ones, but it's not like it was
Oh, a week
weeks.
or like
It's smaller screens.
know,
and people
maybe-
weren't watching movies.
Like, and it would have
Maybe-
taken Dom a few days to get back from Panama, so, and he was there at the funeral. It's not like they would have arranged. No one arranged. Very rarely is the funeral arranged for the very next day.
maybe 3 hours of straight call time, or like a week if you didn't had a couple calls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I love that none of us can remember.
Phones used to run on how many hours of talking or texting it could go on, not how much time you could spend on Facebook, or how long like the battery would just burn up just on app updates.
Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah, I
Dom,
don't remember. Like, I remember charging mine every night, but I don't think it had to charge every night. I just plugged it in.
I was always ride or die until it was about 15%, and then I would charge it. I'm still that way actually too, but so then Dom and Brian get into their fist fight basically over this, and then Brian
'Cause
explains to
He, call,
Dom
he checks
why.
the last number of the phone.
Yep. So Gary, Nick, do you two want to talk about why Letty was really there helping Brian? Looks like
Nick's
Nick's got it. I don't want to talk. I'll let him give his long-winded fucking response.
I don't want to
That's a
talk, and
first.
then Gary keeps talking.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up with an R. Yeah. He checks the phone and sees the last number in the call number and just calls it. Like, what if it's not Brian, but instead rings to somebody else? I think Dom's just no F's given to see who the hell the last number was, and it rings through, and Brian answers it. It comes to his Letty's cell, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And instantly, even on a rewatch, I had seen this movie before, but on a rewatch, I had to think for a second what the implications were. I think if the two of them shouted or started talking to each other rather than Dom just coming to throw fists, because at first I'm like, why is he upset? Like, he was just a friend who called her, and it wasn't until like they start talking and wrestling on the floor that you find out Letty was working undercover in the same capacity they were to try and take down Braga's organization from the inside. And Dom jumps right to, it's your fault, she's dead. And again, maybe I'm just slowing the uptake, but that context was lost on me both on a rewatch, even having seen this before.
But then Letty is
So they-
working for
they
Brian
did it.
because
Oh yeah, so she's trying to do so to clear Dom's name so that Dom could come home. Like, I'll do this for you if you help clear Dom from all charges. Which again, where's the level there? Is he an international terrorist and there's no coming back? Is
Yeah,
he an international terrorist? Or is it that he has small enough charges you can just wave them away?
yeah, it's like what is Dom actually wanted for? Stealing some VHS players, outrunning the cops, being on the run. I think there's bigger fish for the FBI to fry than some guy who did some illegal street racing and maybe stole some VHSs.
No, I would
At
agree.
what point, this is a Steven question, at what point does it become a felony for the amount of things you steal? Isn't it like over $250,000 it's grand larceny, or
I'm
Assuming
not for sure.
Steven knows things? I don't know why I thought Steven would know things about stealing and felonies, but
He's
That is,
busy
I
making
that is
believe-
not one of my. That is not one of my areas of interest. In fact,
Actually, when he called that phone and I saw it ring, I actually was like, "Oh, that's nice. He called her." Like, they were calling each other, he was trying to help her. And then when he started accusing him, like she was working, I was like, "Oh, yeah, no." I totally was like, "Oh, he tried to help her." I mean, he did, but that's not how exactly what was going on.
All right, Gary, according to the internet here, stealing is classified as a felony when the value of the stolen property exceeds a specific threshold, which varies by state, typically ranging from 1,000 to 250, or sorry, 1,000 to 2,500. In some states, even stealing items valued at $500 can be considered a felony due to outdated thresholds.
What's it for California? Because they're in California.
I will have to do some more digging for you here, so give me a sec.
$500 just doesn't steal what it used to.
Yeah, it sounds like a South Dakota rule, though. So let's not make fun of it yet, because we might all be working through it.
If you
Okay,
touch
so
another
class
man's
2
horse,
felony is anything over $500,000. So I don't know where
if you
class
touch
1
another
felony.
man's, you touch another man's horse, you can shoot that son of a bitch.
Harsh language, Nick. Harsh language.
You know Gary's on this call, right?
Gary's the one we have to protect from the harsh language.
He's a gentle mind.
He's something.
Gentle soul. I'm just a gentle soul. Just wandering about the world.
He's been raised
all-
so very gently.
Of all the adjectives to describe you, I would definitely not use the phrase gentle.
Genteel.
According to this, California is stealing more than $950 in goods or services can be charged as a felony in California.
All right.
Well, that's why the feds aren't really helping, though, because they think that's a ridiculously low amount.
Yes. All right, and then what do we got here? Dom calling Giselle to work up the deal there to try and get Braga to come out for his missing product.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
She seemed super on edge during that conversation, and I wasn't entirely sure why. Like, what up to this point has made her have to be on edge in this conversation, arranging the deal? Like, it almost seemed like they had a scene cut out where she spilled information or something to that extent, and it was weird. I don't know if you guys felt that.
I don't get why she's flipping on Compost, because
He's not flipping yet.
Yeah,
Not flipping yet.
Not yet.
She's the intermediary at this point.
That's right.
And that's why
Just
I was
setting
confused
up
about why
a
she
meet
seemed
to
so
try and
nervous.
get the money back. That's right.
I'm just kind of rewatching it right now. Like, she doesn't completely seem like on edge here, at least what I would believe. But I mean, maybe there is a little, and I don't know if she's worried about her life or just the whole situation itself. She developed a somewhat thing for Dom, and she knows Dom could be walking into a death trap or something like that. Feelings, apparently they get in the way sometimes.
Big feels.
Catching feels. She says "vaya con Dios" twice,
She does.
which is, a clear tip-off. And Dom clearly seems to have some sort of Hispanic ethnicity in him.
So then we get over to the big meetup there where they've got the FBI hiding in some cargo containers in the nearby area while Dom and Brian are waiting for Braga to show up there and identify himself so that way they can have the FBI come in and arrest him. All the while, there are fingerprints and stuff like that being researched from other agencies to try and identify who is the real Braga.
According to the director's commentary, that is a completely legitimate amount of time that it takes to run fingerprints in other countries. Like, they have to manually, cross-reference fingerprints.
Sounds exhausting.
And so that was their MacGuffin. So,
If they knew that they weren't getting any pictures or information on Braga after they had been working, because I think they said this has been like 9 months or something in the process for this case, wouldn't they just have started running international information to try and link a picture or get prints from somewhere? Or were the prints off his cup the thing they needed prior? That's what they were running.
They were running the things off the cup for sure, but maybe they needed them to see if it came back at all or something like that.
Because that picture, well, no, because yeah, regardless of the prints, the piece of paper came out of the fax that said Arturo Braga with a picture.
Yep.
So if you just say you're looking for Arturo Braga, somewhere some international company is going to be like, here's a picture we have. We don't know if it's accurate or not, but here's a picture. Then you'd have eyes on from your people on the ground anyways. So it seems ridiculous that they'd be like, we know nothing. Who have you talked to? The 5 people in this room.
I think we're running into another logic problem here where this whole situation could probably be solved by logic, but that's not what this movie does.
There's not a lot of intelligence in the Central Intelligence Agency.
Well, also the Federal Bureau of Investigation is doing a terrible job at investigating.
Investigating.
I'm
Right.
sure the CIA in this movie is better than the FBI for sure, right? Every law enforcement agency we have encountered is just on top of their job.
What do you do? Hire the criminals. Do you trust them? Not at all. We always think they turn tail and run. Do you jump before every team that you put in place says go? All the time. My man.
My personal favorite's that guy at the impound that was like, okay, sure, bring this car in.
Sure, take this Hummer in there. I don't care.
I was like, surely you have to have some kind of processing.
I'm not
Right?
getting paid enough to care.
They had a whole picture book in the computer of what that he could look at to figure with like information about it.
Mhm.
So shouldn't you be getting out your little camera, get the light right, get all your specs so you can load it up, so the next Brian can choose out a vehicle for his next undercover assignment?
Mr. Abraham Lincoln here says you didn't see this Hummer.
Mr. George Washington.
Mr.
There's
half
plenty more.
Mr. Half a brick of coke here.
Yeah, right. Vehicles loaded down with drugs. There's plenty more where that came from, my good man.
So then, of course, as we've alluded to, the raid goes bad, and Braga escapes there, not without trying to run down Giselle, which Dom, superhero, charges out there and saves her.
I'm super
I remember
confused about when this all goes bad. You have all these SWAT members moving in with guns blazing, blah, 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 blah. These guys get into a car and start driving off. How is that car not peppered? Just absolutely peppered as it leaves.
They went to stormtrooper training.
They want to take him in alive. Can't risk shooting at the
They
car.
need to understand the full organization, so yeah, they need to take him in alive.
There are tires that you
I
can
think
shoot
they have
right
Braga,
there.
though. Like they said, Braga's the only one that matters. So what does these other guys matter?
Well, I think the bigger problem is why are there not like roadblocks and stuff like that set up immediately
Mhm.
here to stop him on these roads that Steven keeps telling us are very, very thoroughly patrolled and heavily checkpointed on the way down
Yeah.
to Mexico.
Starting to understand why they haven't infiltrated or succeeded at all in the last 9 months or whatever.
That's not a bad comment too. Why wouldn't Brian's first go to be like, oh, by the way, police, SWAT teams, they have a giant 300-mile tunnel underground at this location because we've been there. This is where you need to block off, right? I mean, if you stop that, they have no other tunnel. The whole cartel basically just collapses, right?
Well, they find out
But he's
the way to get
rogue.
drugs in.
He might use it for his own means. That might be his escape route.
And by the way, maybe you should check the next 100 miles of the border for more tunnels.
Yeah,
It's the federal government. They jump on that stuff like light speed.
Then we get a Brian and Dom team up session there where they're working on the Charger, and then Brian gets this opportunity to reconnect with Mia. Reconnect in air quotes there.
I see what you did there.
Gary.
So I have multiple notes about this awkward kissing. First is like she starts kissing Brian. Yes, she already knows her brother's going on a suicide mission, and you would think this would be slightly more complicated. You know, like, oh, well, there's feelings, and he never actually apologized. Like,
Which makes
that
it corny.
just, it just seemed weird to me. Also, director's commentary only information. Paul Walker was sick during that scene, and so the actors who played Mia had to like agree to move forward with the scene, knowing that he like had the flu, and she still was like, "Yeah, sure," like because they only had that like special house like for a weekend to film all those scenes. So I just thought that was
Jordana
interesting that
Brewster
somebody
is
Catch
her
the
name.
flu.
yes, that someone would be so committed to acting that they'd be like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna get sick next week.
Yeah, that does suck. At least it's Paul Walker though.
I guess that probably
mean-
that's probably the trade-off is like, oh well, did you kiss Paul Walker? No. He gave me the flu. That's how deep his tongue was in my
Is
mouth.
that what the kids are calling it nowadays?
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, you guys can have your Paul Walker. I'll take Jordana Brewster then.
Who?
That is
That's Mia.
Oh. All right.
Did he give you the D? No, he gave me the F. A what?
The flu.
The FLU.
Oh.
FLU.
Also, interesting side note that is that you learned that Dom is Mia's only brother. That is said in the some conversation of like, "Don't go, you're my only brother." And I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, okay, cool."
Oh,
That is said.
Like
it is said?
That
I
line
must
is
have
said.
missed that. Does she
missed
says
that
you're my
line.
only brother, like
I didn't
as in
assume.
like she has some sisters? Cause
I don't
kinda
want to
weird
lose my
say.
only brother or something like that.
I just assumed. Interesting.
How do you say goodbye to your only brother? Something I don't know. But I had that noted.
Actually, that sounds familiar. That strikes a chord. How do
Okay,
you say
yeah,
goodbye to
that's more familiar actually.
Interesting. I guess I glazed over that.
Apparently I did too. So I don't know. I still feel like the wording is kind of strange.
Yes.
Like, do you have sisters then?
Is it the only brother that's still alive? Who knows?
Family of 12.
Yeah, right. It implies to me like the absence of something like there, as if there was something else there. But
A
I could
dog.
be reading into that.
So then they are down in Mexico where they meet with Giselle again for a brief moment. And they find out Braga is in a church that's under construction, which is where they go in to apprehend Braga because he goes in there by himself. You know, very powerful drug lord goes into a church by himself.
I don't understand how
very
they get all
religious
this
at
set
all
up to.
times.
How do they get into the city? How do they get into the church? Did the security not do a sweep of the church? There are so many questions as to how this happened.
So,
No one
Whereas
has any OPSEC. No one has any OPSEC, Steve.
yeah, to logic it away there, they probably feel like they're safe and invincible down in Mexico. Or sorry, that's not.
And there
logic,
are no
to-
back doors in churches.
to illogic away it there basically. Because again, if you're looking for logic in some of these movies, you're looking down the wrong hole. These
Right.
movies
All these are
about
things that they
fun.
couldn't like just put them working with, and they couldn't put them into their layout, but they can put them straight into the church this guy happens to go to
Mhm.
and have everything set up. Impressive. Where was this impressiveness for the rest for anything else they did literally?
See, just like Vin Diesel was, his powers were starting to activate there when he reconstructed that car crash scene. Brian's powers too are growing as well, so like they get super stealth abilities unlocked there. Crouch down long enough, nobody can see you,
Yep.
even if you're standing right in front of them.
If you stand really still,
Active camo.
Their vision is based on movement.
I don't know.
It's dumb.
I-
It's dumb. But again, if you're looking for logic in these movies,
No,
you're looking in the
it's
wrong
like-
place.
I will say this starting now. I actually really enjoy this movie. Like, this was one of the movies that actually felt sort of almost A to me, like a A-class movie, until it gets to this end scene. And this end scene just like decides, Nah, man. You thought you were gone? You thought we were done? We're not done. We're not gone. We're wrapping it to overdrive.
We're fucking,
And they come up with the dumbest end scene that they could possibly consider.
we're fucking Mad Maxing this shit here through the Mexican
We're
desert.
Mad Maxing it.
And then more drug tunnels. God,
Oh
I
my
love the
gosh.
drug tunnels.
That's
So
the pitch around the table when they're trying to write it out, right?
Drug
How did
tunnels.
they get out of here? Just as many cars as you can. What, like normal cars? No, like desert mad marsh stomping tires and they're bogging, jumping over each other and cars flipping. Yeah. And then more drug tunnels. Yeah, solid idea.
Two
high
words
five.
for you. Drug tunnels. Go. So then, I mean, like, as part of the thing there, Dom trades in his Charger, like, through the drug tunnels there for, I think it was, ends up being a Trans Am Camaro or something like that. Comes to the rescue of
He does
Brian there.
the jump and roll through the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
jumps into that other
is-
car that's driving through the tunnel.
Is that his Charger?
That's his Charger
remade.
there in the drug tunnel that gets destroyed.
It's destroyed and he jumped out.
Cool.
So that's like the end of that vehicle because it was like underground.
Yes.
Sad day.
Oh,
Do you have something, Steven?
I was thinking about it, and it doesn't entirely logistically make sense. My thought was, if Dom was okay with destroying his car anyways, why didn't he just like parallel it in the tunnel itself? Just crash one into one side, one into the other side, just cause a massive chaos crash, just jump out the other side of the car, and just get into Paul Walker's car and keep going. And I realized it's what's the guy's name again?
Phoenix.
The unicorn guy? Phoenix, there we go.
Phoenix is chasing after
Um,
Paul Walker.
Phoenix has already passed him and with Paul Walker, which, by the way, means Phoenix is the better racer than Dom because he beat Dom. So, anyways.
It's totally how that goes. So then, yeah, like I said, there's the scene where they crash there in the desert and stuff like that, and then Phoenix is coming up to shoot Brian, and Brian ends up like moving out of the way, but still holding his foot in place just long enough for Dom to ram that car straight into him and killing him dead real quickly. Which is like,
That was a cool scene.
it's very cool, but it's like one of the most brutal deaths you actually see in the
It's a
show.
very brutal death.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I'm always. It's very morbid. I'll be the first to admit, but I'm always curious of like, is that an accurate portrayal of what would happen in that scene? If you
I think there'd
ram
be a
the
lot
front
more
of,
blood.
I think you would rip him in half.
Yeah.
I mean, you.
I think
pin
you'd run
him
Brian over too.
at the front of his car. I mean, it would literally like, boom, hit him, and like the torso of the dude would like bounce off his windshield and fly off to the side.
Yeah. I'm sure maybe we can look up a Mythbusters episode or something like that. Maybe they've tested it somehow. Gary, did you have something?
Oh no, I just said like, would Brian have survived? Like, in
No.
that situation, like, not only is that guy getting cut in half, but also like, how do you just like barely miss Brian? Like, I feel like the vehicle would probably hit Brian too. Whatever.
Yep. No, I agree. That sounds correct.
Mm-hmm. And then Dom makes the decision there to stay with Brian at the end, knowing that he's going to get arrested and everything like that. But then, like, you're kind of set up as the audience to be like, well, this kind of happens where the bad guy helps out the good guy, and then they get a reduced sentence, or maybe he's just set free. But you get this trial scene there that shows that Dom basically gets sent to jail, max sentence under California law, 25 to life, no early parole. So Dom apparently must have really done something serious. that they don't
Yeah,
wanna
and this
tell
is
us
the
about.
this is the other portion of the ending of the movie. Just is so dumb. Makes so little sense. Like, one of the things that Paul Walker set up for Dom before he got into this entire thing was, by the way, if we get through this, you have to ensure me that you get Dom off. And that's you just made that thing right there. So I don't understand how they're now getting to the judicial system and the judge is just able to go, well, the police did make a deal for this thing, and I'm just going to ignore that going forward, and we're going to do what I want to do. That makes no sense. What is going on here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys made a deal. Well, fuck your deal. I'm still the
Yeah.
judge. And then Dom's up on his bus. But what is that in the driving to the prison there? But what is that we see in the distance? Dom's crew coming to save him, maybe. And movie ends. So, Gary seems to have disappeared from us or whatever, but I don't know, what does Gary ask here? Like favorite characters or something like that? I leave this part for Gary because
When trying to be Gary.
It's a dark place to go.
you're
Okay,
makes you
let's start with favorite character and least favorite character because I can't think of anything at this second. We'll start with Steven and our Amanda because they are new and their opinions are more important.
Oh, that's just the question. Our opinions are
Yeah,
important.
your favorite character and least favorite character of this movie, and who do you think is going to survive?
Okay,
Well,
so
apparently.
you
Sorry,
go
go ahead. No, I was gonna make a sarcastic. Apparently, Letty won't survive, except for yeah. Anyhow, moving on.
My low-key favorite character in this film was Phoenix. Phoenix was pretty damn cool. I loved his one-liner in the cave. Oh God, can't get, what is it? End of the road now, sort of thing. He seemed like almost sort of kind of a real person. He seemed really cool. Least favorite character. I don't know. People were kind of who you expected them to be in this. Oh, no. I know who my least favorite character was. It was Creepy Foot Dude.
Oh,
Randall? I don't know. Dwight, there you go.
Dwight, yeah.
Randall and Dwight are basically the same name.
Totally.
Favorite. I don't know. I'm kind of becoming a Paul Walker fan. Least favorite. I think I said Mia was my favorite in the first one, but I thought she was a little more boring in
Did
this
you
one.
hit record?
No, we're still going. That's fine. I have a question for Steven here.
Yes.
So you were very down on Vin Diesel's character from your perspective of having only seen that movie kind of going forward.
Yes.
With this movie, does that change yet? Or do you feel like it's beginning to change or anything like that?
I feel like this movie was a lot more, it set him up to be a more likable character. He wasn't here stealing from random everyday people on the road and me having to justify all that sort of stuff. He was out here trying to kill the guy who killed his girl. And the guy who killed his girl was also bad guy. So it set him up for a lot of, he could go through and he could literally almost throw someone out a window and you're still saying, I mean, guy's like probably a drug dealer. It's fine. He's going to crush someone with an engine. He works with drug dealers. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. So I think they set him up in a much more relatable and likable way.
So he's like on the path towards redemption there, at least for you.
I would not say that because I think that it's the situation that he's in, right? He has not been put in a situation that I have seen yet where, I mean, I guess at the beginning of this movie, yeah, he was stealing gas trucks, but he wasn't like going up to the driver and trying to, kick the driver's butt. He was just stealing random gas trucks from the back of trucks. So I guess in that sense, sure, he's improved a bit, but he's still stealing from random people to apparently fund his everyday life. But for the majority of the movie, he's not put in those situations where he is tested. So what I'm going to say is that although he is more likable in this movie, it is I do not know whether it is because of or it dovetails with the fact that he is not tested.
One of the random things from the director's commentary is that he compared Dom to Jesus Christ because they had the crucifix, and it's all about family. The themes of the movie are family and sacrifice. Take that as you will, but
Sure.
the director had some. They always have weird shit to say at some point, and that was one that I wrote down.
All right, so I'm gonna walk into church next time, and I'm just gonna go, Vin Diesel is here.
You're gonna replace the Jesus at the front with a Vin Diesel lookalike.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
believe it. How about Nick? Who's your favorite and least favorite character?
I was trying to think. I think my least favorite character, I'd have to agree, is probably the Dwight dude. He just seems like a tool. I'm kind of torn. I'm not really sure. I kind of want to say Dom, but he really doesn't have a lot in this movie. He's in a lot of the scenes and he's
Mhm.
driving the action, but he's not. I mean, I'm gonna get Letty's killer. Okay, what's my motive? I'm gonna get Letty's killer. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna get Letty's killer. Like that's really all he has in this whole movie. There's no, like, at least Brian gets to explore why did he let Dom go? Am I a good cop or am I a bad person? Like there's inner reflection there and maybe a little bit of growth and backstory as far as what he's been doing the last 5 years. You know, heisting Dom has been heisting is all that we get from Dom.
Okay, that all? We go to Tyler.
Yeah.
Favorite, least favorite.
Favorite is probably still Brian. I do like the growth that he kind of goes through a little bit here with kind of questioning, like, where is he really on his sense of justice? And then least favorite would probably be Campos. He just didn't feel much like a bad guy. There was nothing really intimidating for this big bad drug lord about him, really, it felt like.
My number one with a bullet, least favorite characters is Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They're just one-dimensional characters who are only in one scene.
Oh, you're talking about the two brother dudes at the beginning there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I know that they return at some point because they're part of the crew, but don't like them. They are inconsequential characters. And then probably Mia is probably as my favorite character. Like I think you get to see the evolution of like.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mia does really good this movie.
All of that like heartbreak she has at the end of the first movie and all this like things, like you get to jump back in from her point of view of like only the ending of the first movie. Like she finds out that Brian is like a liar and she lets her brother go but doesn't really understand why and like disappears for several years and like so it's just like kind of and then obviously there were feelings and so that's kind of fun, you know, it makes a well-rounded character that like she still had feelings like but she doesn't know who he really is. He's an enigma. So then characters you expect to or want to see again. Steven, who do you and dead or alive? Who do you think's gonna survive? Who's gonna return?
With me.
Weird. I think that Dom is going to return for some reason. So
somehow Dom returned.
The Dom return.
The return of the Dominator.
Return of the Dom. Who do I not think I'm going to see again? I don't think I am. I need to pick someone somewhat. I don't think we're going to see Wonder Woman again.
Gal Gadot.
Okay.
Gal Gadot.
Giselle,
thank you.
I think it's her character name. Okay.
Amanda?
Pretty sure we're gonna see Paul Walker again. I don't know. I think Letty's coming back, but I don't know. I feel like I remember something. And let's see who's not coming back or who's dying. Dying or just not coming back?
Just not coming back, I think.
We see again. Like, in the first movie, I had like the random police officers, and I think one of the police officers shows back up in the second movie.
Oh, you know what? Han. I bet we're not seeing Han, at least in the next one. He's going out to Tokyo.
What?
Tokyo.
I don't know if this is a non-spoilers. Nick and Tyler, who do you think we're seeing again?
I'm going to refrain from answering.
Nick?
I'm going to answer
Who do you
that
want to see
Tyler's.
again?
I'm going to answer that Tyler's a tool. I would like. I would like to see. Not somebody obvious. Who else is in their crew?
Or while Nick's computer is overheating, characters from the first movie who might reappear, because this was the reoccurrence, the restart of the series. Like, are there characters from previous movies you think might pop back up? Amanda?
Ludacris?
Luda!
I go with that.
Luda?
I can get behind that. Ludicrous.
Can't leave.
Like to see him
Ludacris
come
out.
back. Tej.
I don't know.
That's his
I was
name.
like, I
thank
do not remember his actual character's name, but yes. I don't think it's a spoiler. Other characters come back, and the next movie is I think when they really pick up steam of the crew. So,
I have a question. I can interject one here, Gary.
Go for it.
okay, Nick, interject.
Steven, you commented after watching the first one that you were hoping to see a movie that would launch 9 sequels. Did you get that feeling from this movie?
I think I did. I think I got more of a idea of this one would launch sequels. I think that, and I think I was talking about this a little earlier too, that the first half of the movie, I would even say the first 3/4 of the movie were, I thought, a really fun movie. I enjoyed the plot was, although sometimes MacGyvered, it was still fun. It flowed. Nothing necessarily made. I mean, nothing was earth-shattering, but also nothing was completely randomly out of place. And then you get to the last quarter of the movie, and it just they decided to throw an anchor on the ship, and I guess every ship's got to have an anchor. So drug it back down to B, but that would make sense as to. I still think you could get a sequel to this movie.
And it left it open-ended.
It did.
A little bit. What?
Not you, Amanda. How did you feel about this movie?
I did like it. Yeah, I mean, I have to take that step back with the logic. But I mean, I'm starting to be at the point where I'm looking forward to the next ones. And like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm getting that nostalgia once you see the cars hitting the road, even at the very end when we saw the little dust plumes, and I was like, aha, yeah, there we are. Ridiculous.
After the watch, how would you rate these movies? I assume we got to go back to Tyler and his. We'll end with Tyler's whatever review. So, Steven, what is your review out of Tyler? What score? What score have we been using in the past? Out of 10, out of 5?
I always do out of 5. You guys can do whatever you want.
All right, so out of $20, I would give this probably 15.
15? $15. Amanda?
I mean, it's not an A movie. We can't call it that. But I would rate it a solid B-. I don't remember what I've rated the other ones, so sorry.
I don't
my
remember
scale,
either.
My scale
just
is
know that it-
arbitrary and shown as in at the time.
Out of 15 unicorns, I give it 13.5 stars.
How does that convert to Stanley
Wow.
Nichols?
I would probably say my opinion is like 8.5 out of 10. Like, I don't think this movie has as much humor as like what I liked about 2, but I think it tickles the itch of like lots of fast things and excitement and on Steven saying that the back half kind of slowed down, I guess I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the back half really was the like where the movie like quality dipped. Like the intro heist like fucking like really got you jacked up, and then all these characters come back, and then yeah, just you got to watch somebody get chopped in half by a car doing a wheelie. So 8.5 out of 10. Tyler, what do you have on
think
this
it's-
watch?
I think you skipped Nick there.
Did I skip
I-
Nick?
He did.
I
That's
skipped
right.
Nick.
I see
I'm
where I
sorry.
went.
I forget about you.
Ouch. It's all right.
Nick, let's pretend I didn't forget about you. What's your review? No,
Thanks,
you
buddy.
said 8. You said 13 out of 15 unicorns. So 13 stars out of 15 unicorns. That's why I said you were done. So F you gave a review. 13 out of 15. I moved on. Do you have any other notes?
Fair enough. No notes. I'll stick by my 15
No
unicorns then.
Good.
Tyler,
then.
to you.
Okay. Nick, do you really want to go here? Give
I
feedback?
I liked it. I wouldn't say it's a top tier movie either, but yeah, a high B. Something.
Okay.
Everyone has their own grading system and nobody's consistent.
That's fine.
Why? Why would we be consistent at this point? Anyway.
Exactly. So from my 2015 review, I wrote here 3 out of 5 stars. A reuniting of the core group and a start down the path to the revival of the series. The franchise really picks up with the 5th movie, but that wouldn't have happened without this solid return, especially after the disaster that was 2 and the weird detour that is 3.
Ouch.
Burn.
I'm with Gary. I think the humor in 2 saves it.
Well,
I didn't think 2 was as bad as I thought it was going to be.
we'll
from
have
your
that
guys'
discussion at the end for
hints.
sure.
I will say, in my turn of ranking of the movies, I will say this one jumps to the top of my list. So this is number 1. I'm gonna say that probably number 2 is number 2, Drift is number 3, number 1 is number 4.
I would have Steven's exact ranking, except I'd flip the last 2. I like 1 better than I like 3.
I like 1 better and like 3. Similar. Steven or Amanda, would you agree that all 4 movies are totally different?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's probably entirely accurate. I will say this movie feels more mature, if that's a difference of tone necessarily, but it feels like a more mature movie.
They took the formula for 1 and 2 and 3 and took what people liked, and then they actually made like a good movie. But yeah, that was, I think, my initial opinion early on is like it's hard to like hate on 1 through 4 because they're just so tonally different movies. 4 is a revenge tale. I don't remember how I explained 4, but 4 is definitely a tale of revenge. Nick?
I do want to highlight for us before we end here too how broad the scope keeps getting, because we're kind of loosely defining Dom as this international criminal. Like, again, it was stealing VCRs in a small region of the United States that then became stopping an actual criminal, right? Like they're just stealing stuff for their own purposes. Now, with whatever the dude's name was from the second movie, Carter.
Craig Verone?
something. Verone, yes. Verone is an actual criminal, so he's got like his own little small group of something going on. 3, again, kind of the outlier. But in 4, it's a whole criminal enterprise. Like Braga's got a whole cartel, right? So the scope keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Clearly there are sequels, but yeah, as we keep talking about this, it'll be interesting to see like where we started VCRs to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. Any
So
final?
Tyler, that was your 2015. What's your today?
It's still the same.
Still 3 out of 5?
Still 3 out of 5. Yep.
Anything since you have the clearest remembrance of this movie, and also you took such diligent notes back then. Anything in this rewatch that surprised you, or anything that you really stood out that you liked, Tyler?
For me, definitely that opening. Was reminded watching the opening of just like how awesome that thing was. Like Gary says, it really just gets you hyped for the movie there. And
We're
then,
back.
Steven's take on it being definitely a more mature tone than the other 3 preceding this one, for sure. I'd agree with a little bit more. But otherwise, no, remembered kind of exactly. Like, I didn't remember this one completely as crystal clear of like, this happened, but I remember the big points. So still just like I kind of remember it there. So
Nick and Steven and I kind of rank them 1 through 4, where we thought, what were your ranks? I think you said 3 out of 5 for this one. What were the ranks for the other 3? Just to kind of,
I can tell you
mind.
what I rated them, but that doesn't actually factor into the ranking of them. I will save my ranking for the end when we do that. But
well, I just want to know up to this point. I'm gonna get greedy with all of them.
Too Fast, Too Furious, I gave 2 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
The Fast and the Furious, the first one, I gave 4 stars. And I think Tokyo Drift, I gave a 3-star.
So based on this, it goes the first movie, 3 and 4 tied at 3 stars, and number 2 got 2 stars.
Correct.
So you, out of all of them, actually, you're the only person who rated number 2 as the worst.
Yep. I'm fine with being the right one in this conversation. That doesn't bother me.
Oh, right one. Of
Ouch.
course.
Oh.
Um,
Different tastes. Any other, I guess, random questions on, as I said, like, the movies just get better. I don't remember what happened in the next one, and I think we talked about this off air of like, I don't know how I'm gonna make a synopsis.
So Gary, I'll give you this for everyone else's benefit too. Speaking of rankings, I think 5 is the best in the whole series. To just set everyone's expectations up there. I'm probably sky high up for Steven and Amanda.
Yeah, you're sky high them.
Worst movie in the
Dunk it. And my number one goal now is to figure out everything that's wrong with 5 and just dunk it on Tyler.
You can try.
Bring it down to Tyler's Too Fast, Too Furious ratings. I don't know. I remember that I liked 5, but I'm with Tyler. I don't know what Tyler said about it, but I don't remember all the details in 5. I remember how it ends. I don't remember all the setup for 5, so it'll be interesting to go back and watch it.
I remember 5 fairly well.
And I do not.
Because when I want to watch a Fast and the Furious movie, I usually put 5 on.
Why would you watch all 5 movies?
Any watching suggestions for 5? Is it marathon, 2 parts, in the dark with some ambient light, 5.1 surround sound, a glass of Chardonnay?
Gary, are you coming on to me? Do I need to like pick up a bottle of wine and head over to your place?
You want to come over and watch Fast and Furious? You like Chardonnay? Totally not where I would have gone, but all right.
Yeah. Do you need a can of NOS and some Corona?
Damn right.
Yeah. Know your audience.
Make sure you have your Coronas handy with your can of NOS.
Whoa. Follow up. Steven, how's the NOS tasting now? And how's the Corona?
Warm
Let's give it one more shot.
science.
Glutton for punishment.
It's still not as it's not as bad as the first drink I took. Still not good.
How's the Corona?
Corona's good. Corona's okay.
Okay. Can we have Corona sponsor us? Because we haven't said anything bad about Corona for one episode.
I mean, if
It's
you
true.
want to write to them and see if they will, I'll put that into your hands there, Gary. You can seek
Corona.
out advertisement for our podcast.
Corona, I promise
I
to
don't-
drink 4 of your beers every single podcast if you sponsor us.
Ugh.
Or
Rest- For the rest of season 3, or are you talking about going forward? I mean, you got to get your terms defined here quickly, Steven.
yeah, you gotta figure out what your contract is. 4 beers. Whew. Oh, is that just Steven or is that all of us? Because that
That's
seems
what
like
I
a
was
really
kinda
Trying to be
curious.
all up. No.
If we get a sponsorship, man, that's money.
Yeah. That's pie in the sky dreams there, but
Corona.
because I
Better
mean,
than that gobble of piss nos.
good.
That's all the advertisement is every time.
'cause just remember, before we get sponsorship, we actually have to have people listen to the podcast. And I think, other than me, I don't know if anyone else really is listening to the podcast.
I have to listen
That's
to
my
Gary.
plug.
Does that count?
You guys all need to start listening to the podcast more. We need to pump our numbers up.
Pump it up.
All right.
Pump it up.
Anything else we want to cover for this movie here? Any last points to touch on? Everyone good to go otherwise?
Tyler,
I
you
just
still
wanted to
on mute.
know how to watch that next movie. Like, should I have the surround sound on? Should I do I need pants? And
Pants
can
are
I watch it
optional.
with children in the room? That's okay. Can you watch it with children in the room?
Probably not.
I mean,
Probably not.
would you have watched any of the ones so far with children in the room?
There's select scenes
I don't know. We
they
saw
even
Gal
talk
with no
about-
nipples. I mean, why wouldn't we be able
in
to watch that with a child
general,
in the room?
that there's a lot. It's a little more mature. Like it's an action adventure movie as they go on, rather than like bros in underground like
I mean,
girls
it's your
in
choice,
skimpy outfits.
but we've not had our daughter watch them.
It's PG-13. I was trying to find that detail. So
That one was
Why is it PG-13?
No,
Nudity?
Fast 5 is
profanity?
PG-13.
Oh, I would say, what was this one? I would think
I think this
R.
one was PG-13 as well. I don't think
Really?
any of them are ever rated R.
Rams a vehicle.
Are
into-
you rated PG?
There's that
That
guy
one I
who
don't know.
died.
Yeah. There's references to sex and drugs.
PG-13.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll,
It's been a while.
Nick, you need a lot more
profane.
profanity, nudity,
drugs being
and
done.
violence and blood to make an R.
They're
Nick, have you
capping
ever
the
seen an
price.
R-rated movie? Have we?
Remember, you have the virgin ears. You're the innocent one, Gary. We're all corrupt.
You're all corrupting me. I forgot.
Have I seen an R?
Anyway,
I'm just
we
double
can probably
checking
wrap
real
it up.
quickly. Oh, this isn't going to tell me real quickly.
You're looking at all of the ratings for each of them.
Yep. First one is PG-13. Second one is PG-13. Third is PG-13. 4 is PG-13. 5 is PG-13. 6 is PG-13. And 7 is PG-13. Oh, I should
Man.
also remind everyone here too. Fast 5 is when they started releasing what they called extended editions. They added more stuff to the movies there. That's what I will be watching. That is what is up on my server to watch there.
Oh, I guess I am going to be watching extended editions.
So Stephen and Amanda are going to be watching the extended edition as well.
I assume it's on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Why would anyone ever watch a not extended or not director's cut?
So just throwing that out to you, Nick, as well then too, since I don't know if you've said how you're watching them, but we don't need to get that.
Pinky's out. We're all in the extended cut.
Watching them with a glass of Chardonnay and pants optional.
Yeah,
It's optional.
Gary, watch the next one basically under the covers in your bed on your phone screen with the shittiest earbuds you could find.
I just went on an airplane and they gave away free earbuds. I assume those are the earbuds I
There
want.
you go.
Done.
Those will be perfect for
Done.
what you want to do here.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that'll then probably do it for us for this episode. Like I said, for next time, we are going to be watching Fast 5. And we hope you tune in. We hope somebody tunes in. Otherwise, we're just doing this for fun. That means I have to talk to Gary and Nick this much. So,
Ooh, but I got off with it. My Corona and NOS exploits have gotten me just
Yeah,
one
you-
step further.
you're trying to get us a sponsorship, Steven. We got to cover you just a little bit there.
Yeah.
Shotzi over here just bashing on our many follower.
Hey, that one computer expert, car guy, lover of
Loves
NOS,
NOS.
if he wants to write in, we'll gladly read his information on the next episode. Not his information. We'll gladly read his comment or whatever on the next episode. All right. Well, like I said, that'll do it for everyone here at the Rewatch Podcast. We want to thank anybody or everybody for listening. We hope you have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.